We're live.
Welcome to Perspective Shift. How are we doing?
Doing well, man.
Good.
Doing
Good
awesome.
morning.
Yeah.
Terrance, how are we doing, sir?
I
Yeah.
am doing wonderful, Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good to have you on the show today.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be here, gentlemen. Thank
Yeah.
you for bringing me out.
Oh, definitely, man.
Absolutely.
So we got Tarrance Alfred here,
Why don't you introduce
a.k.a.
AKA?
Master T.
Oh,
Yes, sir.
Master T. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I love it.
Master T. And yeah, let's well, I'm gonna tell a little about I was telling Mike earlier about when we first met. I remember over the years, you're a gym guy and so am I. And I was telling Mike how it works. You go, it's a regular weightlifting gym, but whenever there's a bag, you see all the fighters gravitate towards it like a
Yeah, we do.
sandbox.
I love
yeah,
it.
we
A
do.
playground, yeah.
I love it.
And I remember over the years, I remember seeing you at other gyms and just saying hi to you. But then when I actually came over to the mountainside in Chandler on Alma School in Germain, I would see you more often there. And then we started talking and get martial arts.
That's right, because we first met at the Awatuki gym.
That's
Yeah.
what he said,
Wasn't
the
it?
foothills.
I think I've seen you at other gyms too. When you because any time I went to a gym and I saw someone hitting the bag, I always watch them.
I'm the same
I
way.
always watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it you don't see too many people that do that and do it well, right?
That's it.
So I've noticed you over the years. So that's why when I came in there, I'm hey, and in a couple of days, hey,
Yeah.
And next thing you know, we're talking, and next thing you know, he
Yes.
starts talking about the metaverse, and all right, I was like, oh shit, all right.
yeah.
It's
This guy's right up my alley.
And
Right?
then I'd
Yep.
see him doing this martial arts, which he takes the idea of it all the way in. But so
sir.
tell us about let's start off by you talking about your businesses and stuff, and then we're gonna ask questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
hear a little bit about
Just-
you,
yeah,
Terrance,
just tell
because
us-
I want to know this too.
Yeah.
So you want the business side, or you want
Everything.
everything, right? The
Everything.
inception of
Totally.
all.
Start with the business side because I do think that's important.
Okay.
Gives kind of people an idea of where you're coming from now, and then flip it around to how you kind of got there.
I like that. Tell you what we'll
There we
do. I'll kind of backwards engineer a little bit.
Perfect.
We'll start with where my chi
I'm just
or my
backwards.
energy. Right. That makes you backwards. Yeah. So I'm in the blockchain space.
Okay.
I know you guys have both heard of blockchain, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So in the blockchain space, I got involved. I'm a top advisor in the blockchain and a consultant.
Okay.
And I got involved in the weirdest way, Frank and Mike. I got involved because my younger cousin, who's only 2 years older than my son, so he's like 33 now.
Okay.
Oh, you have a son?
I have a son.
All
I have a
right.
30
I
years
never even asked you. I'm sorry about that. All
No,
right.
that's talk about everything else, right?
Good to know.
I'll tell you about him. He's doing great. So he's a
Right.
day trader.
Right.
But so my cousin started an exchange for Bitcoin.
Okay.
And it was the 5th largest exchange in the world.
Nice.
At one point. Now, mind you, this is early on
Yeah.
in the inception of Bitcoin. So this is about 2011.
Okay.
Okay.
He had a full ride scholarship. I'll make this brief.
Mm-hmm.
A full ride scholarship.
all day in the world,
We got all
so-
day.
Yeah.
Yeah, take your time. Take your time.
He had a full ride scholarship to University of Michigan, Ann Arbor.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
I think he was a sophomore. He drops out.
Okay.
He starts couch surfing on his fraternity brothers' couches. Has his laptop.
Yep.
He's walking around and saying, "Hey guys, buy some Bitcoin from me." And they're going, "Kennard, you're crazy." Yeah, because this is early on.
Yeah,
No one
nobody knew what
thing
this
gonna
was.
be. In hindsight, now we all wish we did buy
I was
it.
gonna say that's when you wanted to own it.
All right, so he told me at a Thanksgiving dinner, he said, "Hey, cuz," we call him cuz.
Yeah, yeah.
You have this Ford Motor Company. I'll get to that later. Contract. You're making all this money.
Yeah.
Why don't you invest in this new money called Bitcoin?
Okay.
And I'm saying, Kennard, I love you. You're brilliant, but I don't get it.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't touch it. It's not tangible.
Yeah.
Give me some gold and some silver where I can bury it in my backyard.
Yeah.
And then I made the mistake of saying what everyone else was saying in the media was that, well, isn't this used for illicit gain? And he
That was a talking point for a while.
Yeah.
I heard that about Bitcoin too.
And
It was only used on the what do they call that?
the dark web.
Yeah, the dark web, but there's something like a highway or something they call it or something.
I think you're referring to, because one guy went to prison for this. You're
Okay.
talking about the
Yeah, they made a movie about that.
It was called the Silk Road.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. That's
Yeah.
exactly what
But
I'm
it wasn't
talking
the
about.
original Chinese Silk Road or the new One Belt Initiative. But it was the
Okay.
it was the pre-metaverse thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so he had the 5th largest exchange for this thing, and he told me about it. And I said, "Well, isn't it used for criminal activity?" And he said, "What do you think's used more for illicit activity, Bitcoin, which is brand new, or hard cash?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
And I said, okay, you got me.
I have it stuffed in the walls.
Exactly. Exactly.
You didn't know you're amongst the criminal, did you?
You already know. Well, I feel you from New York, so now I'm joking. And I'm from Detroit, so go figure, right? It makes two of us.
Go figure, right? That's so funny.
So my girlfriend and I were in Dominican Republic.
Okay.
And on our way back, we were on the plane with this guy named Paul Snow.
Okay.
Now, the reason why Paul Snow's name is important is because Paul had the first ever Bitcoin conference in America.
Nice.
Yeah, down in Austin, Texas.
Okay.
All right. So I'm talking to Paul, and we're talking about, investments and whatnot. And he goes, well, yeah, I'm into Bitcoin, and I have a new company called Factom, Factom. And we're literally just getting started. We're taking on some VCs and angel investors right now. He's like, if you guys want to invest, on the plane. I'm like, okay, this guy thinks I was born yesterday.
Right, right.
If you want to invest, I'll give you each coin, we call them tokens or coins, right?
Yep.
10 cents a piece. But you got to buy 10,000 of them.
Yeah.
I'm going, okay, this guy's trying to work us.
Yep.
Right? Lo and behold, we started talking about it. I said, hey, I got a cousin involved in this stuff. He said, who's your cousin? I said, Kennard Hockenhull. The guy's jaw drops on the plane. He goes, Kennard, your cousin? And I said, yeah, that's my little cousin,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna
Known him my whole life.
Yeah, right? He goes, Kennard is killing it in Silicon Valley. Now, mind you, my cousin and I aren't that close, so I didn't even know this, that he had even relocated to Silicon Valley.
Okay, gotcha.
He said, Kennard's incredible, man. He's doing great things out there, blah, blah, blah. His exchange is blowing up. So now he's picking my interest, right?
Yeah.
So I start talking to him like, hey, guy, tell me more about this blockchain and this Bitcoin stuff and about your company. So he tells us this. He gives us his card. I said, okay, I'm going to keep in touch with him. I get back home. I look him up. He's legit. Okay. I mean, like globally legit.
Legit.
So I call my cousin, of course, and I humble myself because I'm the big cousin. Yep. And I say, Kennard, you were right. Yeah. I was wrong. Now, can you please
tell me a little bit about this?
Please. Right.
Yep.
So, of course, he took me under his wing and started telling me, and then it was way over my head, a lot of this stuff, a lot of the tech stuff was. But what I noticed was with him and with Paul and a lot of other individuals that were creating this new software as a service technology, that they're brilliant. They can code their butts off. Yeah. But they didn't have the charisma or the ability to explain this to laymen.
Yep. Which is a talent, a skill, and necessary,
right?
In order to go mainstream, like you're talking about.
Right. So I noticed that, and I said, guys, let me come in first, teach me a little bit about this, and then I'm going to become a consultant.
There you go.
So I initially started consulting high net worth individuals just here in Arizona, and a few of my friends back in Michigan, telling them how to acquire Bitcoin, how to store it, because back then you had to do it all yourself. You didn't have the Coinbases and the Geminis and the Krakens. Yeah. So that was my first step into it.
Okay.
Then I noticed that these little startup companies that these coins are based behind, because a lot of people think that this is actual money. It's not money. Like Bitcoin from Satoshi Nakamoto, this pseudo name. You probably heard about this guy, that. Right? This pseudo name, we don't know who he really is. Yeah. Some believe it's the individual who's passed. It's actually
it's Frank.
I had a funny feeling, Frank. Yeah, so we started noticing that there was these new companies getting started. Okay. And they needed entry points into legacy systems, financial systems, and the lot. Yep. So a gentleman out of New York named Reggie Middleton, an incredible guy. He's been on CNBC, Bloomberg, Fox News. I saw him on YouTube, and he made a statement. His company's called Veritasium. Okay. And he said, guys, I'm opening this up to the world. I'm filing patents for this thing called DeFi. You familiar with DeFi, Mike?
No, never heard of it.
So DeFi is just short for decentralized finance. Okay. So any financial instrument, banking, loans, what you're doing in real estate. Yeah. All this is going onto the blockchain at some point in time. Yeah. So he had this great concept of his Veri token, VERI, and he wanted to get entry into Africa. Okay. And he was going to New Orleans for, I think it's called the National Association of Black Journalists Conference. He was a keynote speaker. All right. So I called him up. I just called him cold. Yeah. And he answered the phone. And I said, hey, I hear you want to go to Africa. I can get you Africa. He says, who are you?
Yeah. Who is this?
Right? Now, mind you, this guy's also a martial artist as well.
Okay, cool.
He's a black. He was an alternate for the U.S. Taekwondo team.
Oh, I love that.
really?
My mom was in Taekwondo.
No way.
Yep, she
Small
did that for
world.
years.
She used
Yeah.
to kick Mike's ass all the time.
Seriously. That's how I was raised.
You were a good kid up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so Reggie said, come on down to New Orleans. I want to meet you. So I came
yeah.
down for the conference. I went to go have lunch with him. I'm thinking it's going to be an hour lunch.
Yeah.
And then we go our separate ways. He had his daughter with him.
Okay.
Right? He says, come with me for the rest of the day. We spent like 6 hours together talking shop.
Oh, nice.
So at the end of the day, I met one of his partners, and he says, you get me Africa, you got a contract. You're my consultant. I got him Africa.
Oh, right.
I flew to Dubai. Then I mentioned earlier,
Yep.
Ethiopia,
Yep.
to a Finnovation conference. It's a fintech conference. Met some of the top players in fintech down in Africa and told them that I want to be the first person to really bring blockchain to the continent. A lot of people think of Africa as a country.
Now explain. Blockchain is the instrument they use for dividing, right? It's a platform, right? Is that what blockchain is?
I'll make it really simple because it's really over everybody's head, even trying to explain blockchain technically. Blockchain is just like a ledger.
Okay.
So
Yes.
anything that you could put on a ledger, an old school ledger.
Yep.
Now you could put it on the blockchain.
So it's kind of like a platform.
Yes.
So, all right.
And it stores it, and it can never be
Yeah.
changed or manipulated
Yeah.
by like
Exactly.
our government that are doing it right now with all our money.
Good point. So
Yeah.
it's immutable. Okay, and it shows every transaction. So there's the reason why it's called blockchain is because the transactions happen in individual blocks. So there's the Genesis block that happened whatever the first day was in 2009. Okay. That was the first Genesis block, and then every 10 minutes, as far as Bitcoin, there's a new block added on to the chain.
Okay.
So that's been going on since 2009. We can literally download onto your computer the entire blockchain.
See, that's cool.
And you can see every transaction. Now, here's the cool thing, though. Well, the extra cool thing behind that, right, Mike, is that if Mike were to send you $1 or $1 million on that blockchain, it doesn't have Mike's name nor your name. But the great thing is this. The identity is behind the actual key phrases and the code. So the code is law.
Okay.
So you don't even need the CPA. You don't need the lawyer. It's already there. It's totally immutable. And that's kind of like the novice way of explaining it.
Yeah.
But you could do fair voting on the blockchain. So your vote would count because your QR code is your vote.
Yeah.
Are they moving in that direction?
They are.
Yeah.
They are.
Oh,
That was
wait,
one of the things I wanted to do in Africa as well.
Nice.
Yeah, so we need to hear.
We need to hear first, right?
We do.
Take care of home, right?
So, how did you have a connection in Africa, and why did this gentleman want Africa?
Great question.
Yeah.
Great question. So I'll start with the first one. The first one is I had a business partner at the time who her daughters were my karate students.
Nice.
And she was one of the top economists at ASU.
Okay, very cool.
Right? And she's Kenyan. So I told her about blockchain and Bitcoin a few years earlier.
Okay.
And she goes, "Oh, Master T, no. I'm a true economist. We don't deal with the blockchain. You know, that's not going anywhere."
Oh.
So I left it alone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kept training her kids. And then one day she came to me and said, "I need to talk to you outside."
Yeah. What is it?
What did I do?
I know, right? Am I in trouble with that? And she goes, "I just got back from a conference in California. ASU sent me to." Now, she was the only person ASU flew out. And she said, "Guess what the main point of conversation was?" You guys can already guess. Blockchain technology. So she says, "Now I want to have a conversation with you."
Yeah,
Yep.
it's actually one of my clients. He works in banking, and you know, he goes to these conferences all the time. And I've never seen him this excited when he was talking about the conference and they were talking about blockchain.
Well,
It
it
was
is the
just
future.
weird. Like,
It
yeah.
is the future.
But like
right?
he's like, yeah, we talk to him like, yeah, because he's always traveling, you know, and he comes in and he's like, we started talking about something, and he got I'm like, hey, how was your conference? I always ask him that, and he goes, it was amazing. And they talk. I forgot who the head speaker was, but the guy was talking about blockchain. Like he was talking about a movie or something that was coming out, or the greatest book. And I'm like, wow. And then he started explaining to me the you know, as best as one can explain it to me.
Right.
But yeah, so this is fascinating about this platform, and it obviously using Bitcoin and money. But you're saying it's going to be used across everything.
Everything. So really, you could think of it almost like having shares in a business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like stock. So a lot of these new startup companies, you know, they create these tokens, and the tokens have to be utilized as a utility in their ecosystem.
Okay.
So if you want to use, say, if it's for real estate, if somebody wanted to use your services, you could have your own real estate company token that they have to have.
I did not know that.
Yeah. And then with that token, there could be certain, discounts they receive or perks they receive or whatever it may be. And then, so it gives us some kind of value. Some kind of intrinsic value behind it. Then the voting side is incredible. So long story short, I came in and said, let me help these startup companies by getting them entry in Africa. So I had my business partner who I had explained to, and she goes, okay, I think I get it. So I flew her to New York. We went down to Wall Street. We met with Reggie at his WeWorks office down there.
Nice.
Yeah, everybody has WeWorks out there. They're blowing up in real estate out there. Anyway, I know you know about the WeWorks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that was incredible. And then, long story short, Lori and I parted ways.
Okay.
Because she still was thinking more legacy banking and financial, and Reggie wanted somebody who could really open the doors for something that was groundbreaking, because this really is kind of futuristic. So I said, I will get us Africa. So I had no one in Africa except for one of my old clients was in Senegal. Now in Senegal they speak French. So I don't speak French. Oui, monsieur, right? That's about as far as I'm going. So I got on a plane. I saw online that there was a conference in Ethiopia, at Addis Ababa. I believe that's the capital of Ethiopia. So I called them last minute. It was only 6 days to the conference. And I said, can I come out and be a part of this? They said, well, Mr. Alfred, this is literally the week of. I said, I'm okay with that. I'll pay to come. They said, you're more than welcome. So I paid, a few $1,000.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap.
It wasn't cheap at all.
Last minute.
Yeah, last minute. Went to Dubai first and then Ethiopia. Had the greatest time of my life. Met some of the greatest people. And good thing I was there, because Japan and China were there as well, trying to get entry point into Africa with blockchain.
Really?
Yeah.
Way to have that foresight.
Yeah, I was blessed at that point.
There you go.
Just I love hearing that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
So I came back and got with Reggie, got him over 25 MOUs, memorandums of understanding, like letters of intent, with Uganda, South Africa, of course, Ethiopia, Nairobi. We were all over. It was incredible.
Gosh, that is so cool. So what was your pitch to them there? Like, hey, this is a technology. Did you keep it more financial based, or did you go at all voting systems? I mean, this can go to anything. I mean, did you only talk to them as if it was a financial type of thing?
Initially, more financial, because it was a fintech conference.
Yeah.
So I kept it within their wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't want to oversell it. So it was more of a thing of, hey, guys, we have this new tech, and I am a consultant advisor for one of the top guys out of America. I just kept telling him he's a Wall Street guy. I didn't even tell him his name. I said, I got a Wall Street guy with some technology that can change the world. And they said, how soon can we meet?
Exactly.
Because from what I understand, a blockchain is like the iPhone, and you and I can create whatever app we want on to have the platform. So one app could be having to do with entertainment, and the other could have to do with writing or something outside of the realm of that type of stuff. So whatever you can think of, and people mostly think about money. So Bitcoin is obviously the first thing, but it could be anything you put on that.
And it's always platform. Verifiable, right? Like you can always know when that was generated and who generated it.
It's time stamped and everything.
Yeah, like if you wrote a song and used on that platform, no one could come up and say, hey, I wrote that song as well. It's like, no, you recorded at that moment. If they didn't do it prior to that, they can't lay claim to it, so to speak. It actually puts it. It's actually how the universe actually works. The universe is time stamping everything. It's just what we call the Akashic records. This is just a what we call a fractal of it. It's another replication of it.
A physical form.
Yeah. So we're starting to actually understand how the universe works through the technology in which we're conveying. That's really what's happening.
Yeah, and Frank's actually jumping into the metaverse side of it.
Well,
right there, what you're describing.
Yeah.
Because
I told Mike that's how, like, we were talking one day, and, obviously he's a martial artist. I see him doing stuff, and, I'm hitting the bag, and we're talking, and all of a sudden he mentioned the word metaverse. And I'm like, we got to talk.
Frank's eyes lit up there when I said metaverse. I said, oh, you actually know about this.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people look at me like, what? Well, it is a foreign language or something? Metaverse. Yeah, so you mentioned music, Frank. Music, entertainment is all going on here as well. I'm sure you guys are familiar with the NFTs.
Non-fungible tokens, right?
Yes, sir.
NFTs.
Yeah. I'm amongst my tribe here.
There we go. I try to stay tuned to what's going on.
Yeah, so I got involved in NFTs, of course, first as a guy, buying, flipping them, playing around with them, seeing what this thing was really about, right? I'm the kind of guy I just go all in and then learn as I go.
Yeah.
Right, so
only way to do it, honestly.
Right?
Yeah, best way to learn how to swim is to jump in the water.
Jump in, yeah.
Made a ton of money, lost a ton of money.
Of course.
Tried to make it back.
Of course.
That fun little cycle of learning, that ebb and flow. And then I got with a new company called Click that I'm an advisor for now.
Okay.
And they're coming in to really expand that metaverse with digital identity.
Okay.
And they have the technology that I believe every company, Amazon included, are going to need pretty soon.
Okay. Are you at liberty to discuss that or talk about it or no?
Well, I can tell you that they were incubated at Stanford.
Okay.
I can say that.
Legit.
I can say very legit. Mm-hmm. They have some proprietary tech from Cornell.
Okay.
And I can say that
again,
they're
legit.
Legit.
Yep.
I think so, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Small college.
Yeah, right.
we-
Maybe heard of it.
Right?
Could we get in on the IPO with them?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best
Well,
way
it's
to
funny.
say.
Well, now we call them ICOs.
ICOs,
Really?
all right.
Yeah.
They changed that verbiage?
Yeah, it's the same thing. So
Okay.
you were on point. Instead of an IPO,
Yeah.
it's an initial coin offering.
Oh, there you go.
Ah,
All
okay,
right.
okay,
Yeah.
cool.
And actually, you can possibly get in on these things as long as this is a great segue into kind of the ups and downs of this blockchain thing.
Yeah.
Okay, as long as you pass what's called the Howey test. Are you familiar with that?
Never heard of it.
Okay, so the Howey test is where they're showing where you're not a utility. I'm sorry, you're not a security.
Okay.
Okay, so the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, has this thing called the Howey test. It's outdated. It's from 1932. And even Jerome Powell and others have said that they need to change it.
Yeah.
But it's still on the books.
Okay.
So you have to pass this test. So if you don't, you're considered a security.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you're not a security, if you're a utility token, you can sell to anybody.
Okay.
Security, then it only could be an accredited investor or whatnot.
Okay.
And that's been one of the kind of like roadblocks for some of these new startup companies in this space.
All right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So I guess then tell us from here, are you more of a consultant? Is that what you would kind of say you are as your role, or what's your role in all this?
Great question. Yeah, definitely a consultant, and not just say advisor.
Okay,
so
an advisor.
I'm one of the top advisors in the space.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, because I found out where I fit in. Yeah, I have no background in software engineering.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I barely know what 2 + 2 is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hear you on that. Me too. I'm not a math guy.
All right, yeah, you either. So what I noticed though was, as I mentioned earlier, was they didn't know how to explain in layman's terms to some people who could be high net worth investors.
Yeah.
So I told them, guys, teach me enough. What's an expert? A person who knows 25 to 35 things more than everybody else on a certain subject, supposedly.
Yeah.
So teach me enough verbiage about this so I can explain it to these people who really want to invest, but they just don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. You're not going to invest in something you can't understand.
Right.
Yeah.
So I
Which
did
is a
that
critical component, what you're describing.
Yeah.
Right.
To bring in,
But
the level of,
that's how everything worked. Like
value.
you look at any scientist that ever came up with something, there was always a layman that had to explain it to the world, because the scientist could only explain it to the actual scientist. And then someone came along. I remember reading Stephen Hawking's book the first time, and then he had to write one for the masses, right? Because he had to change it. But what was funny is he did it himself, so it didn't really help. He needed
was
somebody
still
else.
too-
Yeah,
it was
it
still-
was funny.
it was
Yeah,
still
way
up
up
here,
here.
right?
Yeah.
What he did is he made the letters bigger.
That's a work for him. You'll get it.
But yeah, there's always that translation in the world, and there's people that are coming forth, and then there's a translation. That's just a natural thing in life. You got vibration,
Yes.
and this mic is creating the translation of the vibration.
Let me
by our
ask,
voice.
let me
Yeah.
ask you this. So, Tarrance, right now
Ask away.
with the issues, or I shouldn't say issues, with what's going on with the market, and we've seen Bitcoin right now so volatile, up and down. Are you still very much so involved in this to this day?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So where are things at with this recent volatility within the stock market? I know they're not directly related because they're totally different components, but clearly it's also
It's emotion.
yeah, it's a roller coaster right now.
Everything is, like when you look at the market, what's every 3 years is a bull market.
Yeah.
Every year you'll have a downturn. This is a cycle. It's like every year there's a winter.
Okay.
So people are like, why is it cold out? I'm like, because it's December. I'm like, I think when we start to understand the cycles, there won't be any poverty on the planet. There won't be any of this. So just be, hibernation, and then spring comes. And everything is related to cycles. I don't care if it's the market, Bitcoin, it doesn't matter. And once you understand consciously a cycle, you no longer die within the field. You harvest enough in the fall and make it through the winter, and then spring comes, do it again.
That's right.
Every season will have a different attribute than the previous one, but it's all the same. Like the market, since the beginning, is always was about 8%, and then the downturn was like down to 1%. So you had if you stuck in there and diversified, it doesn't matter if it's up or down.
Yeah.
Obviously, when it goes down, you can take some of that money and purchase other things and go up with it. There's always that individual, but it's always no one. If you put all your money on red, that could be a problem.
All your eggs in one basket,
yeah,
kind
exactly,
of thing, right? Yeah.
So we're learning about diversifying and diversifying just in the market. It's actually going out to the world. Like if we don't diversify as humans, we're dead.
I love your take on the market, because right now, so our real estate market, we've been booming, right, for the last 2.5 years. I mean, skyrocketing, 50% gains, in the last 2 years. And right now we're seeing this lull, and it's this pullback, with this doubling of our interest rates. And there's a lot of people freaking out, like freaking out, like, oh my God, the market's crashing, all this stuff. And it's like, no. And I don't know if it's just because of the place I'm at currently, like as far as like my awareness goes, but I have been able to step back and go, whoa. This is all very much so part of the cycle, the ebbs and the flows, right? The ups and downs of real estate. People are always going to need somewhere to, shelter.
But
that's not going away.
That's not going away.
Yeah. What happens though when every cycle like this comes down? Because everyone always looks at the up cycle, they love it, right?
Yeah.
Because they're always wanting and more. But 50% of people's money, the most Fortune 500 companies made it in a down market.
Yep.
50%. So it tells you that there's this much viability in a down market. You just have to be conscious. But if you're freaking out as the roller coaster is going down, you're not enjoying the ride. It's just the same as going up. It's more comfortable, seemingly. But what's that comfort? Well, the comfort has to be compared to discomfort.
Right.
But discomfort, when you willingly place yourself in discomfort, you expand. So now it's like if you're in this market, okay, sit back. Now you have the opportunity to create something new. Because, like you get in the market, and, whatever it is, whatever you're selling, a house, whatever, it's so easy to sell a house.
Yeah.
Anyone can do it, right?
Yep.
But can anyone do it differently in the down market? Because, people are freaking out. So you're going to eliminate some of those people. It's not even about opportunity. It's about how do I look at this different? How do I shift my perspective on this? And then you change the world.
So is that what you're doing right now with Bitcoin?
Or with blockchain.
Or I should say,
Yeah, so he's a platform. Because, Bitcoin is like...
I see what you're saying. That's only a little portion of
Bitcoin
the blockchain.
Bitcoin is like YouTube versus Spotify.
Okay.
So, like, those are two different platforms. But the iPhone allows both of those to be on my phone at once.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And then I can go to it. So that's what blockchain is like. It's a platform. If I'm not. Really thoroughly
the Bitcoin is the most thing that stands out. To most
because
people when they hear
everyone
blockchain.
Focuses on money.
Yeah,
and
great point.
But
and also Bitcoin is like the granddaddy.
It's the original.
It's
cryptocurrency is the first one, right? Like
it's the first one.
Yeah, and but that may go away, but the blockchain will not.
No, blockchain is the technology.
That's what I was really pushing, not only to Africa, but anyone who would listen, was that they were so caught up in, as you mentioned, Mike, the ups and downs, the volatility of the market, of where cryptocurrencies were. And I was explaining to them, don't look at that so much myopically. Look more so at the technology.
What's supporting that? What's allowing that to exist?
Actual, as Frank said, the blockchain itself. That's where it's at. So the blockchain, what we're now calling Web 3.0.
I've heard that term.
You've heard that?
I've heard Web 3.0. Yeah.
So that's where it's going. Web 3.0 is so important to the future that I had a meeting with the governor's office here.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
And I explained to them, this is the perfect time to create something special here because we are the Silicon Valley of the desert.
Hell yeah, we are.
And,
we are.
And we have Intel here. Intel actually has a new chip. I believe it's called Bonanza. Okay. You guys can check this out. And they did it kind of stealth.
Is that like the TV show from the 70s?
That's all I remember. That's all I remember too, right? You're showing our age here. Yeah. Mike's too young to remember this stuff.
I was gonna say I never saw Bonanza.
Oh yeah, it was
Never
like
saw it?
yeah, it was like
No, it was
sorry,
a great show. No, that's good.
I tend to take a left turn every time. It's a squirrel.
Yeah. So this Bonanza chip they have is 15% more efficient than the Bitmain chips that were popular in China.
Okay.
So China had cornered literally the market for Bitcoin mining.
Okay.
Right at one point. China now has made it illegal to mine Bitcoin.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Really?
This is incredible. So check this out.
What's the reason behind that?
Well, whatever reason they choose for the day.
Yeah.
One day they poo on Bitcoin, next day they love it.
Yeah.
So who knows? This probably is going more into macroeconomics, and that's another discussion.
Yeah.
What's happening? We can have that conversation too, though.
We'll have you on the show again.
Right? Good reason to bring me back. There we go.
Exactly.
There you go.
Yeah. So China actually put the kibosh on it.
Okay.
And now Texas is actually the ones who are claiming, they've actually come out and said this. They want to lead the world in Bitcoin mining by the year 2025.
Wow.
So they're buying all these mining equipment from China. So think about the supply chain. They're bringing it from China. It has to be shipped over here. They're already been used. But now, and those are 15% less efficient than Intel's Bonanza.
Okay.
And here's the other part. The Bonanza mining chip is 50% cheaper than the Bitmain.
Wow. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. So I'm looking at
half the price.
Half the price, more efficient. You're getting more production out of it. And I believe that Arizona should be the headquarters. I'll come out and say it publicly.
Yeah.
As opposed to Texas for Web 3.0, for Bitcoin mining, for the metaverse. We need to attract all these big companies like Riot Blockchain, this $1 billion company, right? Bring them here. We can use Palo Verde, the green energy from nuclear.
Yep.
So this is something that is good for the planet as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
How does blockchain relate to the metaverse? Is the metaverse stored on the blockchain?
Yeah.
Anything that happens in the metaverse is stored on the blockchain?
The easiest way, and this is me bastardizing it probably, somebody come in who's more tech savvy, but the easiest way to look at it is the metaverse is like your video game.
Yep.
Do you guys ever see that movie Ready Player One?
Oh, loved it. That was, what's his name?
Who's that? Ready Player One?
Oh, that's the guy who did like all the big movies, Jurassic Park, everything, right?
Maybe.
Steven Spielberg, I think, did that one.
I think it is Spielberg.
Yeah, I think it's Spielberg. It's awesome.
All right.
It's cool.
I don't think it's any big name actor in it.
No, it's not big name actors.
Right. But it's an incredible movie. You should check it out.
All right,
it's cool. It's very cool.
It's kind of dystopian too, but that's another part of the movie. But they show how they're living and they're putting the glasses on, which we already have the technology already. Or I think that's the augmented reality. Yeah, augmented and virtual a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So they put the glasses on, and then you're inside. You're immersed into this metaverse,
and that's where they work and everything. They get up, and that's where they go to work.
Yeah,
as they jump in.
Well, that's what we're actually doing as humans.
Yeah,
we're actually. As you think about like who are we really? We're the observer of Frank Daly, Mike Kitlas, and
exactly.
Yeah,
that's how it works.
Master T.
Yeah,
and so it's kind of understanding that recognizing who's watching, who knows this?
Yeah.
I don't feel good. Well, who knows this? The thing that knows that isn't feeling good. So you got another fractal understanding, a replication of what's happening through these headsets.
Yes.
Right. And
another facet of our awareness. If you
it
will.
is, yeah. And but when someone puts it on, they're aware that they have them on, but also too the brain allows it to trick the brain to thinking they're actually there. Well, right now, if we went on to like say FaceTime. The brain doesn't get tricked.
Right.
No, I could see the person. I could be at the beach with them. I could see the beach. From my brain is it's not tricked. But if I put those VR headsets on, and I could be at the beach, it feels like I'm there. And now they're actually coming out with technologies. Mark Zuckerberg's doing this, where you put on like little suits or whatever.
Oh that's player one stuff.
Yeah, that's literally how it is.
Oh, okay,
it's literally that movie.
All right.
Yeah, what we're doing.
Yeah, so when you watch it, you can actually feel
the gloves and everything.
It almost feels like if you're at the beach.
You can touch water and you can feel like as if it was water.
Well, Frank, haven't you seen that one video game concept they have where you hold these two handles and you're boxing?
Yeah. Frank, you haven't seen those? Little cups. The little cup
little
things.
cups.
Yeah, that go around your hand.
So even video gamers can get concussions, right?
They can join our world, right? Yeah, welcome to our world quickly.
So, Tarrance, you've been an entrepreneur your whole life?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so let's bring it back to when you were a child.
Let's go all the way back.
Yeah,
right?
let's go
Well, I
back.
mean, this is very much an entrepreneurial style lifestyle that you're describing. What you do,
Yes, sir.
I mean, you very much work for yourself. Has it always been that way?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I may have only had like one real job.
Okay.
And that real job was UPS.
Okay.
I was one of the unloaders.
Yeah, yeah.
Which
Oh,
is
I did that myself.
You did too?
Oh my God, yeah.
Horrible.
It's
Well, it's
go ahead, Frank. Tell them
Yeah.
the truth. Tell the truth.
I think I was in high school. It was a summer job for me, and I went in there, and it's 4 hours. Like I could work for 4 hours. So you go there at like night, like
Yep,
11
nighttime.
o'clock at night.
Yep.
And then the guy takes this scissor or clippers and opens a back trailer, and he pulls out boxes of stuff for me. He goes, "You see this conveyor belt
The
thing?
conveyor belt.
Yeah.
Just start throwing the shit." And the guy helped me out, right? He's helped me out. And then once we got halfway through the truck, he's like, "You're on your own."
Exactly
Yeah,
the
and
same
you
thing
just
that happened to me.
constant.
He's like, yep,
Go,
that's it.
go
And-
figure.
Yeah, then
Yes.
you pull the last box in, and I'm not, you're like, the truck is high. I had to like pull
Yeah,
the
yeah.
bottom one out to get the other one to fall
To
on
fall.
me. Yeah.
And you gotta get a package on that conveyor belt
Now-
every 4 seconds.
Oh, yeah. and they're
After-
timing.
Yeah.
I know they time
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
After watching that, I took insurance out of everything. I fucking
Yeah.
mailed.
smart man.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we were throwing things.
I saw,
Yep.
I saw all the guys have been there for years and working. Like one hand's boxing, the other one they're kicking like a soccer ball.
Yeah.
Like damn,
Yeah.
they're efficient.
Yep.
Well,
Like
they were
it.
getting that 4 seconds in,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so I did UPS like Frank. I think I was a freshman.
And that's
in
why
college.
you've never worked for somebody.
And that's probably why.
You learned real quick.
Yeah, that
Not for me.
experience was
This
pretty
is horrible.
pretty heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I mean, I got in good shape. That's
Yeah,
about what
yeah.
I can say.
Yep.
But yeah, if I was engineer for that side of me, I had my first job for me was karate school.
Okay, cool.
No, I'm sorry.
I wanted to get to the martial arts.
Actually, gymnastics first.
Okay.
By way of just a few months, actually.
Okay.
So my uncle, Ernest Tooks, ran a gymnastics program for the YWCA, Young
Nice.
Women's Christian Association. And
Okay.
they had this little latchkey program. It was downtown Detroit where Comerica Park is, now Tiger Stadium.
Okay.
And there used to be a YW and a YMCA next to each other. I don't know if you
Nice.
probably remember.
Nice.
You're probably too young to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he ran the program there. He got a job with the court. And they hired a new guy to come in and teach classes. I was there helping him. And they just assumed that I was of age, right? So they brought this guy in to teach the classes. And the kids hated him. So the parents said, "Well, what about Tarrance? Why didn't you guys hire him?"
Yeah.
They go, "Tarrance is 13 years old.
Yeah, young guy.
He's in 8th grade."
Yeah.
They said, "Well, we thought he was 16. You know, the guy's so mature."
Yeah.
You know, I've got that my entire life.
Yeah. Old soul.
Oh, thank you.
I get the
Yep.
opposite.
You get the opposite?
Complete opposite.
Right. I get the complete opposite.
Yeah, it's
Well, that's
like,
why we match, man. You know, yin
That's
and
right.
yang.
That's
Yin
right.
and yang.
That's it.
yeah.
Yeah, so this is one of my first opportunities
Okay.
of learning that rules and laws are made for certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Because they called me and said, "Terrence, we got a job for you." I said, "You guys do know I'm 13."
I am 13.
Yeah,
gonna
this
be
is
14.
against like child labor law or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly.
And they brought me in. This was downtown,
Okay.
and a lot of the parents were connected.
Okay.
You know, some of them ran the FBI. They were involved in politics.
Oh, I
you
thought
know.
you'd be like mob connected.
I know, right?
Like,
No.
Yeah,
It's New York again.
Community.
New York. Yeah.
Community connected.
So they called me, and I said, "Hey, Mom, they want to give me a job." She said, "Don't they know you're 13 and you're in 8th grade?" So long story short, I used to catch 2 buses from school
Okay.
every Tuesday and Thursday to go teach kids. Some of them were older than me.
Oh, this is awesome.
When I was 13 years
This
old.
is awesome.
And I had a Saturday class as well. So
Yeah,
that was
Doogie
my first-
Howser in the martial arts world.
Yeah,
in the
truly.
martial arts world, right?
So that's how the martial arts started. Was then?
Yeah, so I was always in karate and martial arts since I was 8 years old.
Okay, so you've always been centered.
Right. So my father's a grandmaster.
Okay.
And I'm a master.
All right,
of
so
arts.
you got this from your dad. All right.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
because
got
usually
it
when I run
honest.
into people that are very young doing it, that's boxing. My dad was a pro fighter.
Was he? Okay.
So that's how, yeah. So usually people don't get into that stuff. Well, today people are doing it more, but like when you know, we're around the same age, you didn't just like fall in, like you had to know somebody at that age to get
Right.
into it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Frank just looks younger than me. He's got a full head of hair.
So, your father was a grandmaster.
He is a grandmaster.
He is a grandmaster.
Yes.
That's how it started. Your training in martial arts.
Yes.
Was it a specific martial arts?
Yeah, so my father is a master in judo and jiu-jitsu.
Okay, judo and jiu-jitsu.
My entry point was into karate and Tong Sudo Mudokwan, which is a Korean system, kind of like Taekwondo, if you want to get kind of like an idea of it.
Okay.
And then I went from that to the judo, jiu-jitsu, a little bit of aikido, capoeira, which is a Brazilian system that was created by the slaves down in Brazil. It looks like a dance.
Yeah.
You ever seen
Yeah.
it? It's beautiful.
Okay.
So I've always been into kinetic, chi.
Okay,
Moving my body. Even when I didn't know it was kinetic chi.
Yeah.
I just had so much fun, being a child that was active versus being sedentary.
Did your father teach you about this chi?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
so
He's
has your
always-
dad been a pretty awake and conscious individual your whole life?
Even before it was the in thing back then. Yes.
Even before, like enlightenment, awakening were
Yes.
concepts that were used in, regular
He was
culture.
reading and talking about UFOs,
very
otherworldly
cool.
experiences, about your innate internal energy.
So you
and
grew
how
up
to
around
harness
this?
that. Yes.
Yeah.
God, I love it.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. So that got me involved in it, teaching gymnastics, and then that same summer, I taught my first karate program. They gave me my own karate program, and I've done a number of demonstrations since I was like 12 years old, when I'm actually leading point and talking to the crowd of 10, 100, even thousands of people.
God, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
So were you 14 then?
Now I was 13 initially, and then it just
When
kept
you got your
going,
classes?
going. Yeah,
Okay,
13.
yeah. Oh my gosh! And you did that for how long?
Oh, well, it's been continuous.
We're still doing it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I guess I mean
He's
in
got
that,
master
in that
coaching
role
on his shirt
type
there.
of thing.
Well, in that role, I did.
I do want to know about master coaching too.
In that capacity, I did that all the way up to, I would say, 18.
Okay.
And then I went off to my first year of college to Central State University, a historically black college university
Okay.
in Xenia, Ohio.
Okay.
About 45 minutes outside of Dayton.
And what randomly brought you to Ohio?
I had a cousin that went there before me, and she bragged to me, "Oh, T, you love
Loved it.
this school." Da, da, da. So I just listened to her, and I applied to a few other schools, didn't get in.
Yeah.
I got into that school, so okay, I'm gonna try this.
All right.
Get there, it was fun, but it wasn't for me.
Okay.
It wasn't for me. So I left there, came back, and that's when I started attending Wayne State University.
Okay.
And then I started teaching classes there at Wayne State, helping out the martial arts instructor there, part of their phys ed program, helping him. He was a Tong Sudo master as well. Got involved there, and then I started doing my own programs.
Did your dad teach you any meditation type of techniques growing up?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So the
From how age? From what age, I guess you should say.
The meditation probably started more so. We did it every class.
Okay.
So
It's part of martial arts.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah.
know it was like a regular part of it.
Yeah. All arts, like when you really get into stuff, meditation becoming familiar with.
Yeah.
So it's the repetition of continuous doing it. That's actually into itself as a meditation.
Okay.
It's different, like close your eyes, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's kind of unfortunate, if you ask my opinion. A lot of the more modern martial arts schools now are kind of getting away from the pre-workout meditation side of it, where you just close your eyes, you're just being mindful, and you're visualizing yourself having a great class and learning something new and giving your all.
So that's something you were taught from a young age?
Yes, we've been doing that every class.
Is picturing that vision before it's even happened.
Yes,
God, that's so important.
Isn't it? Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what this whole reality is.
Well,
If we can see it, or if we can think it, feel it, and see it, we're gonna experience it.
and that's
do
what,
it.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
That's what we're realizing now. When actually individuals do this, I don't care if they're doing anything. If they could sit there calmly and control over their brainwaves, so to speak, is what you're doing. Life is a lot easier, and it's life. Then it allows you to move into difficulty willingly.
Yes.
So that's like you're doing art, like that with meditation. Now you're going in and you're actually putting the body through some physical stuff.
Yeah.
But you're keeping the brain at that level, and all of a sudden you feel the pain, but you're not complaining.
Yeah.
That's the
You're
difference.
aware of it.
Yeah, you're
There's
aware
a lot
of
of pain. Yeah.
There's a lot of there's a lot of
You
pain,
know,
but
yeah.
you all of a sudden it's weird. You thrive on the pain. Like your mind will be like, stop doing it, and the higher mind will be like, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just let the body feel the pain. And when you do, it's euphoric. This is why like they call it like the runners get the runners high.
Mm-hmm.
People like doing it, but you have to have the mindset, or else you're gonna complain all the time about it. Like, wow. But no, when you get in there, and I don't know, like whenever I was fighting, even if I were to go to spar, I would work out for an hour and a half, sweating before I stepped in the ring, because I have to be calm. And people are like, oh, you're tired. I'm like, no, now I'm ready to go. I had to get all that energy out of me.
Yeah.
Same here.
Then I go in. Now I'm actually responding, and I'm clear. I'm awake. Things slow down like the movie Matrix.
Yeah.
You see, you have to get in that state, and that's the meditative state in motion.
That's that kinetic chi.
Yeah,
right?
it's amazing. It's a dance. Then when you're fighting with somebody, it's a dance. You
No,
know?
Frank's 100% right. I hated going into a competition cold.
Yeah.
And that would only happen if I got there late. Because a lot of karate tournaments, you got to travel.
Yeah.
And if it's a local thing, you're driving a couple hours to it. And if you get caught in traffic, you get there and they literally are calling your division.
You just got to jump
when you're
in.
walking, you just got to jump in cold. That's the worst feeling that we ever had. I had to get, like Frank, get there, get warmed up, study my opponents, watch them. I was very visual. I would watch what's their best side, what's their favorite technique, because they would repeat that over and over again. Go to that one that they, their little go-to technique. And then I go in the ring already knowing that I win this fight.
Yeah, see, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. You already step into the ring knowing you won.
We used to do this thing. It's a guy named, he's passed now, God rest his soul. And they called him Nasty, Steve Nasty Anderson.
Okay.
Quite possibly the greatest sport karate fighter of all time.
Oh, that's awesome.
He lived in Canada for quite some time, ran a number of popular schools. Steve used to do this thing that I started doing as well. He would go to a tournament, and our trophies are like 6 foot tall. These humongous trophies, right? They're great to have in the house. And he would go up at the beginning of the tournament. He would walk right up to the trophy table and start dismantling the trophy because it's so big, right? And people will say, "What are you doing, man?
I need to fit this in my car."
Right. Frank already knows. He would say, "Guys, I'm going to win it anyway." So I might as well break it down now. And then sometimes they'd say, "You got a point."
Let me help you.
So I took a picture out of his book, started kind of doing the same thing.
Yeah. Setting the stage.
Yes, sir.
So
Humbly though. But
let's bring it back to the understanding, like a deeper understanding of this. Whenever you actually have a vision of doing something, so open up a business, and this is why a lot of people fail, or they don't do anything. I call it fail, is because if I want to open up a business, all right, it doesn't matter what it is, I envision what it looks like, and if I don't go out and try to find a real estate agent to, find the building, it means I don't believe it's going to be there.
Right.
So finding the building to a business is dismantling the actual trophy prior to the actual fight.
Same thing.
It's the same thing, and that's how life is. So the goal is only the essence of the moment now feeling. And then once you have that, now you enact the goal. Yeah. So the goal isn't at the end of it. The goal is here.
That's right.
And the goal is dismantling the trophy so it can fit in your car.
Yeah.
But the tournament hadn't done. The tournament didn't even start.
No.
Didn't even start. And that's the mindset where every individual on this planet could have, and no one will be over anyone. It will just be a different dance.
Right.
But most people's mindset is like, well, I don't have to worry about it fitting in my car because it's not over yet. I'm like, well, you just lost. You just lost right there. You have to
self-defeating attitude, right?
Yeah, because you don't trust that it will work. And that's kind of it. So
that is it.
Yeah,
I love that. So when you're experiencing this chi at a very early age, when did you kind of first recognize that there was something to this on like a greater level as far as like your performance, the way you felt? Did this start super early?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say I mean I didn't kind of know who I was until I was about 28 years old.
28?
Yeah, it took me a while. It took me a long time.
That's actually pretty damn good.
You're doing. That's when I kind of figured out I guess I became aware of. Okay, I've got multiple different. I can choose my perspective, and I began to see that I was my own worst enemy, and I was seeing that I was the one. It's when I really took responsibility for everything in my life.
Yes,
was at that age.
You took ownership, right?
Yeah, and I started to realize if this doesn't go the way I picture it, that doesn't mean it's not happening the way I need it to.
Right.
This is just part of the process. So, I mean, with you being, real early on in this martial arts stuff, do you remember when that kind of clicked for you?
Yes, I remember it very vividly. So there's two parts for that. Okay. The first part would be in my early 20s.
Okay.
So I had already, locally, regionally, I was a small name in the martial arts, nothing big at all.
Yeah. But you had a name.
I had a small name. Yeah. But it's Detroit. It's a small community. And I met a gentleman named Richard Plowden. They brought him over to our martial arts program. I had never known of this guy before. He was already a world champion.
Okay.
But I didn't know because I was just local.
Yeah.
So they brought him over to kind of expand our horizons in the competitive side of the martial arts. And I didn't know anything outside of just competing within Michigan and a little bit of Ohio, maybe Indiana was a big deal.
Yeah.
So he took me under his wing. I don't know why this guy took to me. Little
Your
old
energy.
me. Evidently,
You have
right?
great energy, Terrance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You do.
I mean,
You
right.
can feel it.
You as well, my friend.
Yeah.
Thank you. So he took me under his wing and he said, Tarrance, you could be great at this. And I'm like, yeah, okay. It sounds good. He says, the first thing you got to do is stop being a fan. He said, stop being a fan of all. Cause he took me to some national tournaments. And some of these guys could kick faster than I could punch. I mean, incredible. These are East Coast guys, too, by the way. Mm-hmm. Connecticut, Rhode Island. I mean, these incredible kicks. And I was a fan. I'm like, whoa, I'm in awe.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen that. He said, stop. He said, they put their pants on just like you, one leg at a time. Mm-hmm. He says, now what you do have to do is acknowledge how good they are today in comparison to where you are today. He said, and train with me. Go ahead, Frank.
No, I'm saying if you put them as a fan, you put them above you.
Exactly.
And no one should ever be a fan of anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when I started doing that and training with him, and the great thing about him, he was a heavyweight. And of course, you can tell I'm a lightweight. Yeah. So the way he trained us was so, probably the way you were with your dad, so intense, so hardcore. He said that competition will be a piece of cake because I'm going to kick your ass. Excuse my Puerto Rican.
Absolutely.
I'm going to kick your ass in training. And he did. I've never to this day been hit harder by anybody than Richard Plowden.
Oh, my God.
And it made me the man I am today.
God,
he's also the person that turned me on to the art of war as well.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I've somebody when I was 26 told me about this art of war and told me it would change my life, and I bought it and I never read it.
Now's the time.
Well, and I'm hearing you say this, and
change.
he swore by this book, and it's called
incredible.
The Art of War.
Oh yeah,
by
it's a great book.
Sun
Yeah.
Tzu. It's literally over 2,500 years old, Mike.
Yeah. That's what this guy was saying to me.
Yeah.
And this was like a mentor type of guy, at a work that I was at and stuff. And he's like, this will benefit you. And he gave it to me. And of course, I didn't listen to it. I was an idiot at that time. But still, it never clicked. But I've still, to this day, I remember that title.
Yeah.
Great book.
Check it out. It's a great book.
You've read it before a number of times. Yeah, it's one of my top reference, quite possibly my top reference book.
Well,
Really?
because there's this, like what we're talking about, everything from the metaverse and everything else we talk today, there is a sequence that the universe gave to us, and we're just compartmentalizing. That's all we're doing. But there's this theme that will never change in the world we live. You can try to push it aside. You can do all this stuff. And I think a lot of the issues that we're having in the world today, especially in our country, is because people are trying to overlook these things, like the toughness, the mental toughness.
Yes.
I've heard people say this many times. Someone that actually works on being dangerous becomes the most benevolent human being because they can control it.
Kindness comes from that.
But
yes.
if someone who's meek can be very dangerous to society.
That's right.
Hence, like the Columbine kids.
Yeah, great.
That's a good example. Yeah.
And it doesn't mean necessarily physical attribute. It could be other mental capacities. But so people often see people doing stuff like, I talk about boxing and like, you're a spiritual guy. I'm like, yeah, what is boxing is not any different, you know? Like, I'm like, when I get into a ring with another human being, it's a sport.
Yes.
And guess what? Whenever you see people fight, they hold each other up at the end. They're not there to kill each other. But you go to a bar and see people drinking and fighting over that stuff, that's vicious. And those people don't even know how to fight.
No idea.
Anyone that knows how to fight doesn't fight outside the ring or tournament. Why? Because they know. Anyone if you have a high skill level, you don't know what the other guy has. Well, the thing is, I can avoid it.
Frank, I got to jump in real quick because you made a great connection. So after our tournament, especially like the World Championships, so you'd have Germany, Spain, Italy, Ireland. The Irish love to party too, by the way. Oh man, I love those guys. So
alcoholism does not exist in Ireland, by the way.
Way of life.
There's no word for that, right? There's no word.
A thing.
These guys love to party. So at the beginning of the tournament, of course, we all got our stone cold face on. We're putting on that face, our competition energy on. But after we've either won or lost, we all would get together and go out and party, drink, have fun, and camaraderie. We'd actually take off like our team shirts and we'd exchange. So I had like a Turkey or Ireland shirt.
Yeah.
They'd have a USA because I was on Team USA.
Yeah.
Incredible, as Frank mentioned, incredible camaraderie.
Oh, yeah.
And these are some of the toughest guys that could kick pretty much anybody's behind as opposed to trying to act tough. They had the real skill
Big
level.
difference.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's something about that. And I know like our society was kind of getting away from that, but now you're starting to see it revert back because you see it more, and you probably noticed too, a lot of kids now getting into martial arts at a very young age. Mm-hmm. And they're starting
Wait,
to
did
learn.
you say not getting into?
No, they are.
Oh, getting
Yeah,
into.
they are. You're starting to see it happen more often. And again, to your point earlier, I hope they don't take apart that component out. Yeah. Like technique is one thing, but the mindset is everything.
Agreed.
Yeah, technique is good. Don't get me wrong, but the mindset is king. Yes. Because technique, it's the mindset that's going to
holds it all together.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Because guess what? How many techniques do you know?
Thousands.
Yeah, way too many to count.
No, but there's only one mindset that holds all. So your mindset,
you only need one technique.
Is actually what holds the whole freaking thing together.
Yes, sir.
Everything else is just a technique. And guess what? You use it when you go to the gym, do martial arts. You use it when you do business.
Yes, sir.
It's the same mindset. Doesn't matter what you do with it.
See, that's what I love about consciousness. You know, this topic is when I discovered this topic, and I remember very well, I was like 28 years old. It was the skeleton key to life.
Yeah.
To everything.
Well said.
I mean, business, personal, romantic, friendship, all relationships, everything relates around mindset or consciousness, whatever you want to call it.
That'd be another way of.
But that is the technique.
Yeah, that's another fractal understanding of blockchain.
Yeah.
So blockchain is the foundation. What you do with it.
Another story.
Limitless.
So the technique you do it, whether it's Bitcoin or put music on there or movies on there, it doesn't matter. So we start to look at the blockchain. It's like when you look at, wow, it's like, well, that's the consciousness side of the new way we're going to be doing business and living our lives. That never changes. The Art of War or any other book, you go back to the Bible, you see the same themes go out. It's just the story is different. The technique is different. Mm-hmm. But how it's told and the underlying theme of it never, ever, ever change. So why reinvent the wheel?
And I think that kind of falls under the universal laws.
Oh,
well.
yeah. Universal law, yeah.
Those 12 universal laws. A lot of people focus on the law of attraction because they've watched The Secret. Or they want to make more money. They want to think and grow rich. Yep. But they forget about the more important law that the law of attraction goes under, which is the law of vibration.
Yes.
What
everything vibrates.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I'm glad you touched on that because you're right. Too often people are focused on the what can it give me.
Yeah, but
not
what's
so much
funny is the people that
being.
Yes. Yeah, the people who do that kind of misunderstand law of attraction. Law of attraction, like what you put out is what you get back in the scientific understanding. That's what it means. But what vibration you have. So if you're being mean to somebody, you're attracting that. Like, why is this happening? I've been saying my prayers every night. I'm like, okay, when you wake up in the morning, are you nice to the people around you? I'm like, I don't give a shit what you say at night.
Right, it doesn't matter, right?
I'm a good person. Do me good. You wake up in the morning.
Bite your son's head off, right?
Yeah.
Truly, though.
Yeah.
And a lot of people live their life that way.
And people walk around doing these affirmations. I'm like, stop doing affirmations. You either are or you're not. Like, what do you mean? I'm like, you don't think Elon Musk walks around saying, "I want to be rich. I'm rich. I'm rich." He knows he's rich.
I think his account shows it right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So once we get into and recognizing, okay, I'm not there. Well, then change your perspective. You change the way you feel,
yes, sir.
And then the work begins. Once you start the business, that's when it begins.
That's when it really
It's not the end. It's the very beginning.
I'm looking at your coffee mug, and it says Namaste. Right?
Oh, yeah.
The God in me, recognize the God in you, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So I would do this little trick on people when they would leave yoga class. So back in
you also teach yoga?
I don't teach yoga. It's funny you asked. I made a video years ago called.
Mike's like, "What don't you do?"
I know,
that's what I'm sitting here going.
Well, I am the Renaissance man. I call
Hell yeah,
myself.
love
it. I've reinvented myself.
Good for you.
Thanks. So, but back in Michigan and Birmingham, you remember Birmingham?
Yeah.
Right?
I know what you're talking about.
Birmingham, high net worth individuals, great area. I did great over there. They had in the 555 building. They had a yoga class, very well received, and we have yoga classes here as well. So I would sit outside, and I have a client that I was training outside or in the other area of the building. And after their classes would dismiss, these ladies would come out. Their range was all Range Rovers and Porsches outside.
Yeah.
These were connected people.
They were connected people. Yeah, they were mob connected.
Mob connected.
Had to be, right?
Exactly.
These gals would come out, right? And I'm just sitting there. and I would immediately go, namaste. And majority of them will look at me like, who the bleep are you?
Really?
Why are you speaking to me? But every once in a while, like I'm being honest, like maybe 1 out of every 12 would say namaste back.
Yeah.
And 1 out of every 20 would stop and look at me, namaste, and then come up to me and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Majority of them went right from that incredible class of yoga, you know, yoking your mind, body, and soul, being at peace, being at one with yourself. All right. They would go from that. Outside, I'm the first person for them to see, and I literally say namaste, and they look at me like,
"Don't tell me to stay."
Right,
no,
right,
it's namaste.
right?
But truly, I mean, that's 98% of people that walk out of church on a Sunday morning too.
Good
you know,
point.
same exact thing.
You get
You
killed
walk
in
out
the
of
parking lot.
Yeah.
That's funny you mentioned that. Those are the same ones that you ask them, "How's your day going?" And they'll say, "Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored." But then the next sentence, you'll hear them cursing their kid out or talking or something negative as well.
Yeah.
So are you really blessed?
And what it is it's unfortunate. They're just not conscious. Because when you're conscious, you recognize pain, you recognize this, but you realize you're not that.
Well,
right.
I love that you say that too. And just on the religious, so I never knew what Jesus meant when he said, "Forgive them, for they do not know," until all of this clicked. Because that's what he's saying.
I say
they're not conscious.
I say that
they're
to
not
myself
aware
every
that
day.
they're trapped in it.
I say it to myself.
Like that.
I look at Karen. I'm like, forgive me. I have no idea.
But no, truly,
you're a blessed man on that end too, right?
that is the most powerful saying. Is that because you can't be upset with if they knew
this is the
and
best
were
they know.
aware, they would never act that way or never want to stay in that.
Keyword, Mike, awareness.
Yeah.
That's the operative word in that, isn't it?
But there's another theme I like to touch on. I notice this, and it's very difficult to override, especially in the world we live in historically. The people that were brought up in the most pain, not all of them, but the people that came through that are highest ranking, sufficient people on the planet, most powerful people on the planet, always had these horrific stories.
Yes.
So it's you look back, and that's the point when you get through that. That's when you can really say, forgive them, for they not know what they do.
Yes,
because of what they've done, they made me a stronger person. But now we're at the point in humanity where when I willingly place myself in discomfort, whether it's physically, mentally, whatever it is, I have to grow. I will grow. I know I'll grow. When you're unconscious, you place yourself in discomfort, you may or may not grow.
Correct.
Because there's times I shouldn't. Just because you're unconscious doesn't mean you won't grow. Because I had a lot of unconscious things that happened to me, and when it happened, I had to grow, or die. It was like you had to. But now I consciously choose it. And again, there's things that come across that I don't consciously choose. But I'm like, but now I have the mindset where something kicks in.
Yes.
And it says stop and do it. And that is a life's work. That is a martial art.
Yes, sir.
And this is what Master T teaches.
See, I love that.
Yeah.
So, Master T, jump into this Ford stuff that you were saying you were going to touch on.
Yeah. So
what is this?
Mike doesn't forget anything.
Yeah, great. That's great. Like the elephant memory, right?
Yeah.
I love that. So that's.
I should have you.
Well, I heard it.
I should have you in
like, what's that?
When I'm having a conversation with Cameron, I should call Mike up and put him on speakerphone. Like, I don't remember saying that. Mike's like, oh yeah, she said it.
she said it.
Well, it piqued my interest. I was like, oh, Ford. I mean, you can tell you're a successful guy, and so this story is so cool because I don't know. There's a lot of twists and turns to it.
A lot.
Yeah, and this is so cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the Ford is actually the second part of my epiphany and my enlightenment.
Even better. Perfect segue.
So I taught martial arts and gymnastics classes for a number of years, from 13 all the way up to 28.
Okay.
Right? And at 28, one of my clients, a young lady, I had a kickboxing class.
Okay.
And she worked at Ford. And she said, man, Master T, you'd be great out here at Ford Motor Company. You know, I said, what are you talking about? I don't put parts together.
What do you do?
Assembly line.
Yeah.
I had no idea that they offered classes.
Oh, I didn't know this. Yeah.
So the UAW,
Okay.
the auto industry, they actually have, part of the union, they have a certain amount of, I forget how much it is, money they used to set aside per employee annually. They could put towards computer classes, physical education, fitness classes, or it could even be some of them. I think they had this weird, what's it called? This stone painting or
cool.
glass painting classes.
Yeah.
I mean, almost anything you can think of.
Yeah.
So she said, come put together a proposal, and I'll call the people there and get you a meeting. You don't have to tell me twice.
Yeah, right.
So I put together this nice little proposal for them, and it's like really more of a booklet showing all the things I had done in the past.
Nice.
Right, and people I had trained individually. And I went in, talked to the guy. Well, no, initially I gave them a proposal. Nothing happened.
Okay.
It was crickets for 3 months.
Okay.
And at that point, I had a program at Bally's Vic Tanny. You remember Bally's?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Bally's Vic Tanny was one of the top fitness gyms in America.
Okay.
Didn't like, I remember, didn't they come from like, or buy out, was it Jack LaLanne?
Jack LaLanne?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I remember that.
Yes.
So I remember Jack LaLanne then all of a sudden became Bally's.
That was it, out of California.
Yeah.
And Jack LaLanne, Bruce Lee, those guys are people who I put up at the top.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Those are
I
some
hold them
tough
in
people.
high esteem.
Yeah.
Especially when you know the story of Jack LaLanne. It's like, where's the movie?
Crazy
Where's
shit.
the movie?
I know.
Right?
You could play the movie.
I know,
You
right?
could be
Just
Jack LaLanne.
I'll be Jack LaLanne from a different mother, but yeah.
Mike, you know who Jack LaLanne is, right?
No.
Oh, dude.
Oh, man.
I'm sitting
no
here.
wonder. No wonder.
No
All right,
idea.
this guy, yeah.
His name's Jacqueline Lane?
No,
Jack
Jack
LaLanne.
LaLanne.
Oh, Jack LaLanne.
Yeah, he died at, 96?
96. I'll make it easy for you. Every piece of gym equipment, especially old school equipment, in the gym,
Yeah.
he created it.
Yeah.
Really?
He had the first gym in America, the first television show for fitness in black and white. Remember?
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
a chair.
Remember he wore like the leotard, like the
He
full
wore, he
body
put the
suit?
full body suit, and he wore little ballet shoes.
Yeah.
Because they
Good for
didn't have
him.
really gym shoes that much
Yeah.
back then.
He was, yeah.
He used to do, like myself, he did a lot of handstand push-ups.
Okay.
But he did, like I've never done, these incredible feats of strength.
Yeah.
His 70th birthday, for his 70th birthday, he pulled 7 tugboats with his teeth, swimming with 70 people
Yeah.
on a boat. His 70th birthday.
Yeah. He swam
Yes.
and moved the damn things.
Yeah, literally. This is all documented.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
But there's no movie yet. So maybe need to make that movie happen.
I was going to
'cause do
say,
have a
it
film
might be in the
background,
works.
too.
Yeah, just we
Yeah.
just gave the idea away to the metaverse.
I know,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Got to put it out there
Bring
somehow.
that back, though, for us.
Yep.
No, hold on a second. This is recorded.
Yeah, so we're blockchaining this shit
Right
Anyone
right now.
out there
Right
stealing?
now. Let's
You're
make a
gonna steal
token.
Master T's idea. You're not gonna do it.
Yeah. So to your question about Ford, Mike.
Yeah.
I gave them the proposal. Didn't hear anything for 3
3
weeks.
months.
Or 3 months, I'm sorry. And I was at Bally's running this program. So this is when Billy Blanks. You familiar with Billy Blanks?
No.
You know about
Yeah,
Billy, right?
yeah.
So Billy was a former 5-time martial arts world champion as well.
Okay.
He was on the team with my coach. All right. So Billy created this thing called Taibo. You ever heard Taibo?
I know Taibo,
That's
of course.
Philly, yeah.
That
Philly.
blew up when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right,
All
you
those
look-
videos, I think my mom had those videos.
I
of my
bet she
parents.
did.
Yeah,
Everybody
They
had
all did. I know what you're talking about.
Taibo became the
Big
number
infomercial.
one best-selling fitness program in the world.
I don't doubt that because I remember Taibo. I can spell it. I can see the cover that was on the VHS tape and
Yes.
everything in my
Yeah.
head.
So when Taibo came out, by me being in the martial arts industry and being around all the top competitors, and
Yeah.
these guys were my mentors, right?
Yeah.
They're all Billy's age,
So
Billy,
cool.
Billy's age. And some people were saying like, how did Billy get this deal? This is incredible. Like, wow, this is so good for him.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was saying was, instead of just how did he get it, was how can I also follow in his footsteps?
Yep.
And help bring this knowledge to the forefront as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I started my own little program. I called it Kick Fit.
Okay.
And I had a lot of the parents of my karate kids were doing it. And that's where the young lady from Ford said, you would be a perfect fit. So proposal sent in. I'm at Bally's, heard nothing. I forgot about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I ended up trying to show off at Bally's doing this little flip kick for some of my students and some of the aerobic kids there, and I sprained my ankle.
Okay.
So I was on crutches.
Remember I told you that story yet?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about too. I said I'll wait till I go on the show. I'll tell them then.
Yeah.
So I'm showing off for these ladies in the class. That's really what it was. I'm showing off for these girls in the class. And I said, watch this. I do this little flip, and I come down, boom, and they say, "Are you okay?"
You're like,
and I'm
"No."
like, "No." I said, I'm
good. I'm good.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
And I literally limped to my. I had a
Yeah.
little, I had a 5.0 Mustang.
Yeah, yeah.
I limped to the car and I drive right to the hospital.
Exactly.
So I'm on crutches. I don't know the exact date, but from that moment, I couldn't teach class. Here comes the phone call. Out of the quote unquote
universe,
blue,
yeah.
the universe,
I love
right?
it. I love it.
Here comes the call.
This is such a great story.
Get your ass in here.
Yeah.
Let's have this talk. So I walk in, and I'll never forget, the guy has this cigar. in his mouth, and he's Cajun.
He was connected.
He probably was right. He probably was New Orleans connected for real. He had that accent, He was Cajun. He say, "Look, boy, look. Listen, you make me look good. If I look good, you have a contract as long as you need to."
Nice.
So technically, I was supposed to bid every year. Mm-hmm. I only bid one time.
Ah, nice.
I was there for 8 years. It was at that point. I'm sure it's been broken now. It was the longest running health and wellness corporate training program Ford Motor Company had ever had.
That is so awesome. Congratulations.
Nice.
That's such a big feat.
Yeah, it's huge.
And like so health minded, like, oh, that is so awesome. So Ford, being this massive company, had this, like, did people know about this like program that they were all like allocated towards? Do you have to go out and bring people in?
So a little bit of both. So when I first started, they did send out some information to everybody, but then when I got there, I created a newsletter.
Nice, smart.
And I didn't think that it would take. I thought it would just be a way to get a few clients, but they would pass it around the cafeteria and everywhere.
Hell yeah.
And I didn't know at the time that these plants are like little cities and communities.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody knows each other. A lot of these guys work overtime. They like live
there,
in, live in a plant. So the word would go around about certain people who I highlighted in the newsletter. I would do a kickboxer of the month. Kind of thing. This person did 1,000 kicks. I would just lift their spirits.
Hell yeah.
But their friends and associates would come to me. Did they really do this? I said, yeah, they're doing great. They said, well, they are looking good. I said, well, why don't you come try the class? My class was packed every day.
That is so cool.
Well, it's just
God, that is so cool.
So tell us about the Master T coaching. Let's get because that's what's
going
on right
jump
now.
Into that. Because I saw the shirt when you first arrived today, and I was like, "Ooh, I can't wait to hear that." So we got
brand,
Master T coaches across here. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So the Master T coaching is like my new rebirth.
Okay.
So it's a culmination of all the things that I've done up to this point.
Okay. Hell yeah.
Right? So it's like about 40 plus years of experience in martial arts, in life coaching, because I didn't tell you that I did life coaching,
I didn't know that.
Executive coaching,
Okay.
And all of this, by the way, is without any degrees.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like circumvented all of that and used my past experiences of training with numerous masters of the martial arts, numerous life coaches, and innovators globally. So I just started taking all this information and kind of gelling it together.
Okay.
And making my own. So one of my top clients in executive coaching was the vice president of Volkswagen Finance.
Oh, wow.
This guy found his own jet.
And I was going to say Volkswagen, they're one of the biggest,
One of the biggest, right.
Germany, like big.
And this gentleman would come to me, and the way that I do my Master T coaching is like life coaching on steroids.
Okay.
So I'm the coach's coach.
Yeah.
Right? So I deal with the trifecta of health and wellness.
Okay.
And those three pillars are mental acuity. We were talking about that earlier, being mentally sharp. All right. The second pillar is physical fitness.
Okay.
So that's where all the physical activity that I've mastered over the course of years come into play. And then the third is heartfelt living.
Love it.
All right.
Some people say mind, body, soul. I like mental acuity, physical fitness, heartfelt living. Because as we all know, if your heart's not in it, nothing else will be. Not even mind.
And because like when people hear the heart's not in it, it's not just a term. When you live in survival, you're actually trapping all the energy in your lower chakras or energy centers. When you open them up, it actually hits the heart.
Yes.
And that's a different way of living. We don't need to live in survival anymore. It's weird. There's no lions running around.
We're living by choice.
Yeah, well, we don't know. It's unconscious. So people are fight and flight or fear of like not being able to, am I going to lose my job? I know people that work their whole life thinking they're going to lose their job. I'm like,
and they've been working all these decades.
But yet, what that does to the body is just it's wretched what it does to the body when you don't let the energy pass through those first three energy centers. But when you do, it's called heartfelt. It isn't just a saying; it's an actual feeling, and you do that. And when you're at the heartfelt, this is when you see everything.
Yes, sir.
This is when we become creative. We become loving. You have no competition. Everything becomes into that place.
That's right.
It's the place we were actually meant to live.
I do think it's funny how we grew up and we're taught this whole idea of competition. And the more you understand these concepts, you learn that there is no competition. The competition's right here.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. What's that old one? Me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
kind of thing.
But truly.
Yeah.
And like, I'm sure that's very centered in the martial arts.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that needs to be at the core of it.
There's
no opponent on that other side, Like, you got to walk onto that mat. What's the outcome.
And the other opponent just creates a collaboration in order for me to stay conscious.
Yes.
I could go work out at the gym and I could fall into unconscious state. You know, that's you put heavy weight over, you're gonna wake your ass up.
Oh yeah.
But when you step in front of somebody,
that's a real gauge.
yeah,
That's
you
the gauge
become
for it.
conscious real quick, or you're laying on the canvas unconscious. You know, that's what it is. And most people don't put themselves on the ledge. They don't do that. But when you actually
And why is that, Frank?
well, the fear of failing,
Yes, sir.
but where did the fear of failing come from? That's a very interesting thing. It's like, where did that actually come from? Because every great person failed numerous times.
Yes.
So the whole idea of failing, what it is they like the feeling of comfort. What is comfort? It's what you're used to, but what you're used to will eventually become uncomfortable. The couch is comfortable till it's not.
Until it's
Till
not.
you've
Until
been
bed
there for
sores
3
and
days,
stuff.
yep.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
You leave a dent in it.
Yeah, exactly.
But when we consciously put ourselves in discomfort, you get addicted to that.
Yes, you do.
And the addiction, and it's just because the energy has to go to the heart. It moves through the body, and all of a sudden you feel it. You feel it. Bam! It blows up, and then that's when you're driving in the car, and people don't know what this feels like. It could be a song, and you start crying. You're like, oh, it was a song. I'm like, no, how many times you heard that song, and now you're crying? Like, what happens is you allowed to let go of something, and it went into the heart and busted open.
Yes.
Now, when you're there, you obviously eventually stop crying.
Right. I hope.
Yeah. Well, every time you cry, it's letting a new pattern. It's a frequency pattern in the body. We call it, oh, this happened to me when I was 5. This happened to me when I was 10. Those are just patterns, vibrational frequency patterns that got trapped in the body. That's all it is. And when we move through those energy centers and bust it open, the energy comes to the heart. Now, when they measure the heart, in everyone, but people actually work on it like us. The electromagnetic field is 5,000 times greater than the magnetism of the brain.
Yes, 5,000.
Is that crazy? We focus mainly on the brain.
Yeah.
And there's actually over 40,000 neurons in the heart.
I've heard that.
So we have a lot more neurons in the brain. It's a neurological center, and then obviously in
But
the
our
gut.
brain is a heart in itself, is what I've read.
Well, the
it
brain-
acts like a heart,
Yeah,
or it acts like a brain. It can pick up and sense stuff.
Yeah, so if you break down the components of the brain, you look at the left brain, it stores information based on the moment and days before. So I don't have to relearn the English language, although I didn't really properly learn it the first place. For the love of God.
You and me both.
Yeah.
What you know
So
so
I don't
far.
have to relearn a lot of things. Are attributes that will get me through life. So when the GPS tells me to go right, I already know what a right is. So that's the portion of the brain. But when you want to go beyond the point of where you are, you have to listen to the heart. And the heart is very concise. It doesn't. The mind will say, I don't know, man, should we do this? The heart's like, do it. Do it. And if you listen to the heart. So when I say that higher mind is my heart, and my brain, my lower mind is like, I don't think this is going to be good. What are you doing? Don't do it. And then I'm like, shut up.
That's a good
That's
analogy.
right. Go
Yeah,
for
what
it.
you're
Go
saying.
for it.
Yes.
But it's the thing is, you don't throw caution to the wind. So for people out there listening, until you can open up the heart, I wouldn't get close to the edge. That's dangerous. The body is protecting itself. So once the heart opens, you'll know what we're talking about. And the edge is all of a sudden, it's the most glorious place to be.
Agreed.
It really is a frontier of life. Moving into
And everybody at home has felt this feeling.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
we've all been there at some
everybody,
point.
and some call it like really like love,
Yeah.
not like a romantic love, but like think of like that.
That universal love.
Yeah.
But someone like a Master T here can actually show the individual how to control that.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's what it's about, because it's like driving a car and all of a sudden a song comes on and you start crying. So now you're going to wake up every day and put that song on? I'm like, no, it's not what created it. It was something deeper than that. The song may have triggered it or whatever, or at the time you listened to the song and thought it was a song.
Yes.
It wasn't. And people are like, how do I get that? I'm like, it's practice. It's a practice every day.
Practice every day.
Yeah, like,
Diligent.
yeah.
This is a daily practice. Everything we're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
like when I know, like he'll do a lot of stuff with different tools at the different sticks and
Oh,
stuff.
the sticks and stuff you see.
Yeah,
at
he'll
the
do
gym?
stuff, and people come up and like, "How'd you do that?" And the answer is like, "I've been doing it since I was 8."
What type of stuff was
start
stick?
yesterday.
Oh, different martial art weapon type
Oh,
use.
really?
Yeah.
You use actual what do you even call that? A staff?
Yeah, so it's the staff. So
Okay.
now what we use, or they call it the bow, right?
Okay.
So the bow is normally about 1.5 fist length over your head if
Okay.
you're measuring it.
Okay.
So for me, it'd be like almost a 6-foot bow.
Okay.
But now what I do is I use the Joe. And the Joe was what they use in the keto, which is the shorter stick, which is more representative like a broomstick or a mop stick.
Yeah, I used the Billy.
So, but to that point, I use things now that are more practical, things that could be used as actual weapons in today's society versus what was created for the Okinawan.
Can you imagine walking around with a staff like
I'm a little too old. Yeah, I'm not Moses, so I'm not walking around with that long staff.
But I was just wondering, that's a cool, unique tool. That you know.
But when you watch him use it, he obviously knows what he's doing.
Well, that's what I mean. Like I watched the William Hoff. We did a William Hoff session before we started. He uses some sort of sticks and stuff. I've seen him. I mean, he does like balancing stuff, and like it's very cool. So I just wanted to touch on that and see what you did.
That's it. There's nothing more simpler than just every day having a technique, having a discipline, having a practice, day in and day out. That's how you do it. People want to get there. I'm like, no, you don't want to get there because there's nowhere to get.
Right.
Like, in other words, you're still learning.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm striving to thrive.
Yeah.
Consistently, and this is what has led me to, call myself, to be self-titled as a Renaissance man.
I love that
because I look back.
But you didn't start out saying I want to be a Renaissance man.
I had no idea what a Renaissance man
was.
Back then, right?
Hell yeah.
It just happened.
Yeah.
And that's the glorious thing. But it has to start with the moment in which we're in. And when we start with the moment in which we're in, all of a sudden, what technique's in front of you? We'll do it. Use that as your practice. But I'm like, slow down. You get ahead of yourself. This is why you end up sitting on the couch and doing nothing, because the overwhelming.
Yes.
So I understand why there's a lot of people out there sitting on the couch.
They don't know what to do with the energy.
They don't know what to do with the energy. So, people like, Master T here is here to help people show that. And it's simple. It's a lot simpler than they do, but it's continuous. No matter if it's raining out, sunny out, doesn't matter.
Yes.
If your girlfriend's pissed off at you,
it
doesn't matter.
None of that matters,
you just push through, and what happens is when you do that, your girlfriend will never be pissed off, and the rain will be a fun thing to do.
Yes.
The rain will be a fun place to be, have a picnic.
But I do believe that we all mislabel our energy. And that's why we call things anxiety, depression, all sorts of things. I see that as a mislabeling of the energy, and us not knowing what to do with it. So, it must be this because I feel like this.
Mike, you're right. So, could say mislabeling will be correct. Mm-hmm. Also, it's them not knowing what to do with the energy appropriately.
Okay.
So, the vibration, we all want to be in balance.
Yeah.
A homeostasis.
And
symmetry of life, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we all know what that feels like. It's what it is they think it's happening to them, but it's actually happening for them.
Yes.
Okay.
And when you're happening for you, you actually control it. But when it's happening to you, you have no control.
Okay.
Yeah, once you put it on the outside of you,
you're done.
You think that it's out of your control, then it becomes out of your control.
Yeah.
As opposed to you welcoming it and saying, "Let me acknowledge. Look at the man or the woman in the mirror."
Yeah.
So you talk about like mirror scrying back in the old days. And what's his name? Nostradamus.
Okay.
Nostradamus used to use golden obsidian. This golden sheen of obsidian, and he would look into that. And now we have all these predictions that have come true from Nostradamus. Now, was he seeing the future? Or was he seeing vibration? Things of the possibilities, because it's like snapshots.
Yeah.
Right? So you have possibility, you have probability.
Yeah.
Now, the probabilities are the things that are mathematically more in our wheelhouse of understanding. Like, okay, well, it's a probability that I may be, unfortunately, a victim of a violent crime.
Okay.
Right? This is a true, probability.
If you're in the place, say you're in a dark alley, the probability of getting mugged
gets a lot higher.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah.
And even now in society, a lot of so-called safe bubbles are starting to pop.
Yeah.
And that's when people start calling Master T again and going, okay, can we do that training with me that you did with the young lady you got into the FBI?
Okay.
Because initially we said, we don't need that. We live in a great community. Our law enforcement's great and whatnot. And we all know that when you call the police or law enforcement, they have to get there. What about the interim? What's happening in those seconds? It could be life or death in those seconds.
You either become a track star,
right? Yeah. Robert Bannister, 4 minute mile.
Yeah. And I think, and what's interesting is we get to that place, which is very fascinating because we know this, and you see it amongst the people that do this. When you start to get into the place, say like you're talking about helping somebody out physically take care of themselves, the probability for that individual that knows some type of martial art drops tremendously. So it's because we admit a frequency. So I'm not here to blame victims because they're unconscious of it.
Right.
But why are you in the dark alley is the question I'm asking. So how did I get there? Unconsciously. Well, if you're conscious, you wouldn't have chose the dark alley to actually have to do that. But consciousness and doing a martial art, I remember like as even a kid, like I learned how to box. The first thing I did, was doing was punching my dad's fist. I remember as a kid. And going up, I seldom ever got into a fight. For one, other kids knew I knew how to box, but I also, if a kid threw a punch, I could just, I knew how to get out of the way. It was a natural reflex. My dad did it all the time.
Pernell Whitaker, right?
I was sitting there like this. My dad threw a punch at me. What the hell you doing? I'm eating dinner.
I'm getting you ready for life, son.
I'm preparing.
What kind of life am I getting into, right?
And you brought up something that I kind of oftentimes not forget, but I don't sing my own praises, right? Or toot my own horn, because it's not about that. It's not about the kudos. It's more about the positive effects you have on other people's lives. One of my, biggest successes was not all the championships I won, representing the United States in world championships. That was great. And all the money, Ford Motor Company. I worked in the film industry with Clint Eastwood.
Nice.
That was
a great story. Did I tell you that story? Well, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I'll bring that up later, too, because that's a great story, too.
Good.
Well, this one actually trumps that one, believe it, for me, personally.
Yeah.
It's really the effect that I had on other people in their personal journey. So when I left the film industry in 2010, we lost our tax incentive in Michigan. So at one point, for like 2 years, they were filming more movies in little old Michigan, even in Ann Arbor,
really,
than they were in Hollywood.
See, that's cool.
Yeah, and I blew up. I became like the go-to location manager, location scout. They even interviewed me in Variety magazine.
Oh, that's cool.
Right? As cool as that was, when we lost that, I had to make a decision, a choice. Do I stay in this, be honest, new industry that I didn't go to school for, but I was blessed to be a part of, and I had fun in? Do I try to go to Vancouver or down to Georgia or
move around with it? Yeah,
move around with it, right, where they had incentives? Or do I go back to what I do best, working with other people, bring out the best of them, and helping them find their own personal success? So
You learned that at a very young age.
I did. I was, but it's because of my background, doing it at such a young age, and then having those small successes, and then doing things that are outside of the box as well. So I got back into fitness, and in full disclosure, I put on a lot of weight on Gran Torino with Clint Eastwood.
Oh, really?
I do. I'm 5'3".
Okay.
I was about 170 pounds.
Okay.
I got to laugh at it now. I was about 170 pounds on that film because of craft services.
Yep.
And then Mr. Eastwood had his own private chef that went to every film with him.
Yeah.
And you talking about steak.
Yeah.
Some of the best food you ever
Yeah,
had.
some of the best.
So I got a little lazy.
That's so funny.
So so when I pivoted back into fitness, I told my friends, I said, I'm going back into being a personal trainer. And they go, dude, look at you.
Oh.
you're but they were being honest.
Yeah. They were your friends. Yeah.
They're like, Lou, you look like shit.
Yeah.
You're a
Totally.
little pudgy around the section. I said, give me 1 month.
Yep.
They said it's impossible. You're not going to do it in 1 month.
Yeah, sew my mouth shut. No, I was kidding.
Yeah, I know, right? 1 month, I was down to 149 pounds, totally cut, leaned out.
Yeah.
The rest is history. But this is the cool part. I got a contract with a Powerhouse Corporate.
Okay.
Are you familiar with Powerhouse Gym?
No.
Are you familiar with Gold's Gym?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, so Gold's and Powerhouse,
They were
Same
like
thing.
competition. Yeah.
they had, they had
Yeah.
this friendly rivalry of being the original Raw gym.
Okay.
So Gold's, I believe, is where Arnold Schwarzenegger
That's where
It is.
trained out
Yeah.
of, and then Powerhouse is where Lou Ferrigno and some other guys.
That was always a funny thing between Lou and
right.
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and
Schwarzenegger.
Arnold. Yeah, Arnold Schwarzenegger was a ball buster.
Was he?
He really was. He would make fun of Lou, and remember Lou's dad was like, "Oh,
His
shut
father
up!"
would always be there.
Yeah.
That's so
And
funny.
I've actually met Lou. And I actually met Lou Ferrigno the same day that I met Chuck Norris and Arnold Schwarzenegger, because Arnold has a thing called Arnold Classics,
Yeah.
which is this big event in Columbus, Ohio for bodybuilding, physique,
Everything, yeah.
everything. And he has martial arts in there as well. And I actually won the martial arts division and got opportunity to meet him and Chuck. And Lou was really down to earth, great guy.
Yeah.
So long story short, with Powerhouse. And I remember Michael Negdank was the manager.
Yeah.
Young guy, full of energy, go-getter. And when I first met him, I came in, gave him the same proposal I gave Ford. He goes, "What is this?" I said, "It's a booklet telling you about me and my services." He goes, "Okay, I'll get to. I'm busy right now. I'll talk to you later." So I left. Nothing. I didn't hear from him. So I'm the kind of guy. I went back.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, I remember you." I said, "Yeah, I came in last week. You know, I figured you were busy." He goes, "Oh man, you came at the right time." I'm like, "What do you mean the right time?" He says, I need somebody to train the Detroit Lions cheerleaders. They're called the
I would love that
Pride.
job.
All right.
Yeah, great job.
Just kidding, Karen.
Disclaimer right now, right? So he hadn't even read the booklet. Because in there it tells him that I'm a former gymnast. I've trained cheerleaders and whatnot as well. So I said, "Well, did you read the book, Mike?" He goes, "I'm being honest with you, dude. Because he was swamped.
Yeah.
He knows I haven't." He said, "I just know that you told me you were a martial arts guy." I said, "Well, yeah, I can train him. It'd be fun." He goes, "You're a lifesaver. You're hired."
Yeah.
So I came in, started training. They're called the Detroit Pride. Love those young ladies. They've all went on to do great things.
Good for them.
That was great. But then this is what got it. My second client was a young lady named Amanda.
Okay.
Right? Amanda came to me. She was an insurance, I think, adjuster or seller.
I did it. I was an insurance adjuster before I got into real estate.
How'd you like it?
It was boring. I was gonna. You go in, you measure buildings, you write a rebuild on.
Yeah, I only adjust my belt every once in a while.
So Mike just
it was so dry.
How boring and dry it was, right?
Yeah.
So she's doing this as a job. And she's coming to me, paying me. She had surgery on her shoulder. She used to be a softball player in college. And she's an insurance adjuster. I'm training her. She's loving the training. And I told her one day, I said, Mandy, call her Mandy. I said, "You don't want to be an insurance adjuster." And she never told me this. You know, I said, "I can see it in you." She goes, "How did you know?" I said, "Well, I can just see it on you.
Yeah.
I can tell when you talk about it, there's no passion behind that." And she said, "Well, no, you're right." I said, "So what do you want to do?" And she said, "You're going to laugh at me." I said, "I would never laugh. Nothing you're going to tell me is going to be surprising or funny to me. I'm going to listen to you and receive it." She said, "Well, actually, I want to be an FBI agent."
Hell yeah.
Right? Whoa, that's
So
a big
cool.
That's a big jump, though, Mike.
Totally. Yeah, I would have never guessed that. I would have never guessed that.
And prior to that,
Did you laugh?
I didn't laugh.
Frank, did you laugh?
She'll kill me if she watched this video right now. Yeah. Oh, I looked at her like, "Hey, this can happen.
Hell yeah.
This can happen." I said, "Give me 1 year, and I'll get you into the FBI." And then she said, rightfully so, "Oh, you got connections at Quantico, FBI?"
Yeah, right.
I said, "No,
Nope.
but give me 1 year, and if you believe, and I believe, we're gonna bring this into existence. We're gonna put this into the universe."
God, I love this, Tarrance.
Well, that's a
I
brilliant
love
thing
this.
about something like he can do to people where the therapist takes 7 years, and actually people just end up leaving a therapist for 7 years.
Yep.
No resolution, just talking about this stuff.
Yep.
You're putting into action what to do. You're actually pointing out, and if they're willing to listen, they'll do the work.
Well, that's the key, right? They have to be able to receive.
And you can tell if they are. You only take clients on. I assume that's how I do it.
Yeah,
I only
I'm
take
the same
clients
way.
on that are ready to grind.
Exactly. I just love like how you, in your heart, knew. Hey, just give me a year. No prior FBI connection. Nothing.
Yeah. I don't even know what FBI stands for.
Great.
right?
Yeah,
Another alphabet thing.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? Yeah.
But truly, like, I just love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And so, tell us a little bit about that too.
Okay.
Or how it ended.
So I'll kind of fast forward a little
Yeah,
bit.
yeah.
We trained for a year, and we would train at 5 a.m. deliberately in the morning early. We were the first people there. I had my own little room that Powerhouse gave me in the back. You would have loved it. We had the snatcher bag, uppercut bag, everything back there. It was my little private room. And we would go back there and train. We would train. It got to the point where it was so intense, the training that I was doing with her, because she said she wanted to go into the feds. So I said, I got to train you at the highest level that I've trained. I help SRT. That's the Special Response Team.
Okay.
That's similar like SWAT.
Oh,
And I
nice.
said, I'm going to train you the same way. I'm going to give you the hardcore training. I said, sometimes you're going to even hurt me. You know, it may be some blood, sweat, and tears happening here.
Yeah.
I'll never forget one morning, as an old lady had walked by our room. And she saw, and I was doing some move. I forget what move it was on Mandy, and the lady just started screaming, "Call the police!"
Thinking she was being attacked.
Right, thinking she was being attacked.
That's so funny.
And then Mandy goes, "No, it's okay." She goes, "No,
Not
This
this
guy's
world.
hurting you.
not this world." Right. So fast forward, she gets called by the FBI to come out and do the first tryout for the physical training side of it. She killed it. She scored great on the pull-ups, push-ups, the mile run, everything.
Hell yeah.
But she didn't hear anything back from her.
Okay.
And then she started to get worried and concerned about it. And I told her, "Don't worry. Oftentimes they put you on a file, and it's a special file for special people.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes,
I have one of those files.
You and me both, right?
Karen's got the file. It's special.
so then she tells me, Master T, you're just being nice. You know, you're trying to make me feel better. I said, I am trying to make you feel better. But this is coming from the heart.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, once again, I didn't know they had a file. I just felt something about her that was unique.
Mm-hmm.
I told her, you're gonna change the atmosphere in the FBI. Long story short, a month later, she gets the call. She reports to Quantico, and she literally breaks records.
Dude.
At Quantico. She calls me, Master T, guess what? Guess what? You know, all the time I say, well, you should expect that. You deserve this. And when in the graduation, this is when Robert Mueller was still the director of the CIA of the FBI.
Okay.
And we probably remember him from
yeah.
investigating Trump, right?
Exactly, of course.
Yeah. So he was still with the FBI, and I remember this because they invited me out, and I was at Quantico. I can show you the pictures later. They invited me out, and I remember he's on the stage, and he said, you know, this award for what's called a perfect 50 score, which is their hand-to-hand combat and their physical fitness, right? Mm-hmm. He said, I had to fly out specifically to give this award to this person. He said it had been 8 years since anyone had scored a perfect 50 at Quantico. And I was in tears.
I was going to say, you just gave me goosebumps.
Right?
No joke.
Man, it was incredible. Oh. And when he gave her the award, her mother and father turned to me and said, Master T, that's your award. And I said, no, ma'am, that's hers. She earned it. I just helped bring it out of her.
Yeah.
And I was so proud. I was more proud of her than I was of anything I ever did in my life.
God, I love that so much.
Yeah,
that is such a powerful story, Master T.
Thanks,
oh,
Mike.
my
Thanks.
God, I love that.
You know that
cool.
saying that people do when they actually cut it off? They say people who can't do teach.
Yeah.
That it's funny. That's not the right saying.
Right.
People who know teach and actually do the same. It's funny how that came about.
Well, I feel like we're taught everything wrong in
Yeah.
life. Our job is to unlearn half the crap we were taught.
It's
growing
like
up.
they cut it off. They cut it off at the understanding of it.
Yeah.
So it's everyone that knows teaches, right? Otherwise you can't. Some people go into teaching to cop out, but that is the true thing. Everyone is teaching that knows. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Not people who teach can't do. I'm like, I never understood that.
You know what's interesting about that, Mike? Frank, is the teaching side of it. Because I used to call myself a master teacher.
Okay.
And then I'm also a student of etymology.
Okay.
You know, the root and origin of a word.
Yeah.
So I looked up, teaching and then education, and then I found out that education, of course, the base word educate comes from the Latin derivative educere.
Okay.
And if you guys know this, go ahead and jump in.
I don't.
Okay, educere means to bring out of or lead out of.
Yeah.
As opposed to like being a teacher in the school system that we're familiar with, where they're on the chalkboard and they're writing something down and they're dictating it to us and telling us to memorize.
Telling us what to do rather than to act. So what you did with this woman to get into the FBI, you brought out of her what she already had in her.
Yes, sir.
You didn't tell her anything. She already. Well, you pointed out that she had it.
Right.
So strength came within, because within our DNA, everything is coded in which we need to know. And guess what? She would have never had the ability to even want to be in the FBI if she didn't already have it in her.
Right.
Absolutely.
That's why people are like, oh, Mike, yeah, like, so you're saying you could do anything? I'm like, yeah, I could do anything. But so you can say I could be a quarterback for the in the NFL. I'm like, do you want to be, or are you just trying to test this weird little game?
Correct.
Like, it's not the way to do it. But yet we come here with the frequency vibration, and in that frequency vibration, you're going to step into a setting, and you're actually going to want to act it out in different technique in different ways, and you actually get drawn to it. And that's where, when you come into that, what we call preferential, and you actually place yourself in the field of where it's doable.
Yes.
But otherwise, you wouldn't think of it. And then you're clear. You're clear on something, and you're focused on it. And when you're focused on it, that's the greatest feeling humans could have. It's focus.
Yes.
When we get into focus and we put ourselves in that place, that is the energy running through our body all the way through up to the universe, and nothing else can take us out of it. Nothing can do that. And this is why we create these practices. It isn't what I get from it. That just shows me I'm moving in the direction in which I want. So if I'm heading west, I want to go to the beach, I better see sand and water. But it's the movement, the free-flowing movement is why we're here as humans.
Yes.
And we could actually bring that out in people. But most people are scattered. I can't do it because of this. I can't do it because of that. I'm like, this out here doesn't exist.
Were you coaching as Master T when this happened? When this woman went through the FBI training?
Yes.
Okay. And was it Master T coaching, or was it a totally different thing?
Not totally different, but it was it was the element of. Okay. So at this point, I was working with Powerhouse, and I was doing their corporate training. So a lot of the CEOs of companies and high net worth individuals would come in and want special training. I would train them, and then also I would go out and actually do little fitness presentations under the name of Powerhouse for Wells Fargo and some of the automotive people as well. They would bring me and one of the doctors would come out. He would talk the Western medicine, and I would talk the Eastern philosophy and the fitness side of it. It was a great blend.
Good. Yeah. That's so needed.
So it was almost like the flip phone, but now it's the smartphone.
Yeah. Seriously. Did during your corporate trainings and your executive trainings and even this FBI training and just what people kind of picture as very successful positions in life, did you incorporate meditation into this?
Yes.
With all of them?
Not with all of them.
Okay.
So it's
I just find meditation extremely important to really quiet the mind.
Yeah, it is. And I would do it in a way where I would create more of a force field.
Okay. And using your own chi, right?
Using my own chi. Exactly.
Randy Wittenheimer talks about this. I'm going to write that name down for you.
All right, thanks. I got to have that.
Yeah.
So I would create a force field around
with your own energy.
Right. And then I'm known as the trainer that talk too much.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I've actually lost clients.
Okay.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
Who've came and tried me, and they go, Master T, would you just shut up and just tell me what to do? Let me do it. I say, I'm sorry. That's not how I teach. I tell them I'm actually not a personal trainer.
Okay.
And that's when I was still saying master teacher.
Yeah.
And they would say, well, that's not what I want. And I would say, you know what? I understand. Let me get you someone else. We had a young lady
that's going to tell you what to do.
Yeah, we had a lady named Oksana, a Russian former Olympic swimmer.
Okay, sweet.
Really, by the book, incredible. All right, I said, you go see her. She'll take care of that for you. But me, personally, I want to get into your head.
Yeah.
I want to see what's hindering you from greatness.
Exactly.
It's not just learning how to do a proper push-up. There's a lot more to it. So those who would take the time to let me keep talking, they started saying, wow, today I actually got more out of the conversation than I did out of the actual push-ups, pull-ups, kicks, and punches. And then oftentimes, as you know, Frank, probably with the boxing training, sometimes they just need to talk.
Yeah.
And something's heavy on their heart.
That's it.
Something's weighing them down. And they just want somebody to listen. So I would listen humbly, and then I would offer my 2 cents. And oftentimes they would say, I'm going to try that. And they would report back to me. And that's when I started noticing they're constantly working towards success. Yes, I use these things in my life, but can I teach it to other people and they replicate that same kind of success in their own version?
Yeah. That's what perspective shift's all about.
Absolutely.
Because, in other words, when people learn to get whatever's in them out of it, then the technique is something that becomes easy.
Yes.
It's easy. But it's very difficult when you're in your head to do anything, even wake up out of bed. So I could teach you a technique, but if I'm not teaching you how to get out of your own head, the technique is going to fail.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that's kind of why I brought up the meditation question.
The fundamental aspect. And then even to the understanding of meditation, like when you do these type of techniques, you get into this place where I meditate in the morning for an experience, but I don't have to anymore because I'm already in that meditative state. So I know I was listening to this guy, Michael Singer. You know who Michael Singer is?
He's awesome. You'd like him.
He wrote the Untethered Soul.
Yes.
And he's been meditating for 40 years. And he's like, I don't meditate anymore. He goes, I already know the feeling of it. I meditated early on. And he goes, now if I meditate, it's just for an experience. And what it is we want to be walking, meditating vessels. And that's so the meditation, obviously the understanding in Sanskrit, it means becoming familiar with. In the more Western languages, it means coming to temple. But it doesn't, the techniques of like yoga. Yoga means union.
Yes, sir.
Whether you could, do the dog down or not,
it doesn't matter.
That's part of it, but that's not really it. So when people talk about yoga, in the true sense of yoga, it's it doesn't just mean going to a class where you stretch. Right. Although enacting the physicality of it links the mind and the brain, which that's what yoga is, the union between the body and the mind.
Yeah,
and
I
spirit.
call a lot of these, these Western so-called yogis contortionists. because they're focusing more on, can I get my leg behind my head, as opposed to what goes into that, as you're saying. From
And to your
side.
point earlier, like you're coming from the martial arts area, like, hopefully these teachers don't take that component out of it where they're just teaching technique but not the essence of why. Like Mr. Miyagi, right?
Hell yeah. Wash on, wash off.
Daniel said, that was a funny scene. So I've been waxing your car, painting your fences. And he goes, he's like, oh, shit. All right.
This actually works.
Yeah, right.
But that was the technique, but he wasn't teaching technique. He was teaching discipline in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, the technique was there. So when he threw a punch or whatever at him, he knew how to do it.
Yes, sir.
He's like, but if he focused on the technique, he wouldn't have learned. He would have gotten anywhere. Technique is just something that, is there.
So you have found yourself teaching from that place of mindfulness, awareness. That's kind of where you come from with all of your clients, students, businesses, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because, like we're saying, that is it.
That is it. That's the great equalizer.
Yeah.
So when I've traveled, whether it was for blockchain or martial arts or for coaching, what I noticed is that I brought something uniquely special to the panel or the table because of my purview of this.
Yeah.
As opposed to coming in as an academic,
an
intellectual, or the overly spiritual.
Yeah,
I'm coming in and saying, I'm the living example. Mm-hmm. And I want to share that with others.
Yeah.
And I have a template. It's not cookie cutter.
Yeah.
I will customize this, but there are some universal laws that apply to all of us.
Yeah, you can't escape them.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. You could try to, but they
try as you may, right? But you're not going to get too far.
Yeah, it's true. And whatever that idea you take with you, it doesn't matter. You can go into an area you've never been in before, and you could still be an excellent coach.
Yeah.
You ever see that? What's that TV show on Apple?
Which one?
Oh, about the soccer.
great.
Jason Sudeikis in it. Ted Lasso.
I don't know that.
All right,
I've heard of it.
You got to see it, Mike. It's incredible.
What's fabulous about it? Like, the whole story was the woman was trying to make the team lose. So she hired this guy from the United States, this is in England, and he was a football coach. Knew nothing about
American football.
American football.
Not real football.
Didn't know anything about European soccer, football. Yeah, but he was a coach, and that's all he needed to be. The incidentals.
I love that show.
He didn't even know the rules. Like, why are they doing that? Okay, he didn't need to know the game. He just needed to know how to coach, and that's a huge.
And I believe that.
Yeah, doesn't matter.
Do you remember in that one episode? A few of them, they showed in the locker room the big sign that said "Believe."
Yeah.
So this just reminded me with Mandy when I was training her. I wish she could call into the show. I wish she could call in. I would play.
Seriously, that'd be sweet.
You could make comments at the bottom.
There we go.
Yeah.
I would play every day. Journey.
Hell
Believe.
Yeah. Don't stop believing.
Don't stop believing.
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point where she'd be like, again, Master T.
Yeah.
Again, I'm like, well, this is your favorite song anyway. And it just says.
Yeah, you want it imbued in it. Yeah.
It says everything that we need. Mm-hmm. And she did go through a traumatic thing that I won't talk about today.
Yeah.
Maybe later with her permission.
Yeah.
That would stop anybody. On their journey of success.
Yeah.
And I put that song on and we cried together.
Yeah.
And then I said, are we done crying? She said, let's get to work.
Yeah.
And that's when everything else happened. But there was that song, you reminded me of Believe and Don't Stop Believing.
I love that so much. So I just recently, with my brother 2 weeks ago, watched that new Top Gun movie. The one with Tom Cruise. Everyone needs to see it. It's awesome. It's really cool.
Yeah,
it's just very, very cool. So I'm watching it, and I saw the first one a while ago, but kind of on TV. Don't really remember it too much, but whatever. You can watch it on its own and stand still. But so there's this scene, and I'm not trying to ruin this from anybody, but
if you haven't
spoiler
seen the movie.
alert.
Yeah, exactly. Spoiler alert, I guess. But there is this scene where this certain flight mission nobody has accomplished it, right? And so they kick the team leader off, or they're like, hey, you get out of here. You're not helping the team. I can't remember what it was, but. Tom Cruise shows back up, and he kind of breaks the rules to show back up. But what he does, because he knows this group of people is going on this mission, he goes and he runs this course that they're supposed to run, and he does it, and he does the course in the amount of time that's needed, and it's very difficult. But people, just like you brought up, the 4-minute mile. They were able to witness him do this, and all of them believed.
Yeah.
All 8 or 6 of them, or that team for that mission, they saw it was done, and you could just tell.
Yeah.
Like that's what a team, that's what a coach is, what a leader. You allow people to, you give them the belief, the ability to see this can be done.
And that's a great point, because you said something earlier about, like, I'm not bragging. But if you don't tell your story, you're telling somebody else's story.
Right.
You have to tell your story. And to people, it's not bragging. It's you're letting people know that
It's possible.
I did it.
Yes.
And I did it not from the place I started at. I worked to get here. And that's what's interesting. I remember someone listened to somebody talk to I think it was Tony Robbins. He's like, that guy brags a lot. I'm like, he's not bragging. He's letting you know his story, which was horrendous, and he made it this far, and he made it pretty big, and he's telling you can do it yourself.
I didn't even know he had a bad story.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah.
Oh, bankruptcy, the whole nine.
Oh,
Well, even
I didn't know
before
any
that,
of that about
yeah,
Tony Robbins.
his mother was alcoholic. His mother just beat the shit out of him.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, he was abused kid. So he had a rough, like, as a young kid, he was rough. Like, he had, I think he said, like 5 or 7 fathers. Like,
Oh, wow.
yes, yeah,
I didn't even know that.
yeah, he come in. So he had that rough upbringing.
Yeah.
He was, inadequate, and obviously he
And,
has
and
that.
anybody in this culture would say, "Oh my God, I get why he failed." And they would encourage. Or I'm not saying he failed.
Well, they would
I'm saying
notice
if
him.
he never took it into himself, and
But
like, that's a story that, like, we coddle or turn to.
Yeah, but the thing is, we
I
don't.
see what you're saying, Mike.
We're like it's like, okay, like, oh, I understand because you were raised that
Yeah.
way, like why your circumstances are the way you are, and we're taking somebody's power away by we're just stealing it from them.
What's interesting that people that do that to try to coddle, they disappear all the time.
That's right.
Anyone that goes in to save somebody, and if they don't do it properly, like saving someone from drowning, you like start flailing your arms, start swimming overhand. That's how you save people. But if you go in and scoop them up, you eventually stop doing that, and you don't save anyone. It's a momentary thing to agree with someone. It's like, okay, I see what you're saying, but is that who you want to be? Well, what do you want to be? I don't want to hear it anymore. And that's why he's so powerful. That's why Master T here is same thing. Mm-hmm. You have to tell it from the story. You have to tell your life story. If you don't tell your life story, you're telling somebody else's story. And to me, that's arbitrary. It's like, what's going on? People need to know you've been through it.
Yes.
And that's how we relate to it. And guess what? All human beings, Earth is a pretty difficult place.
Hell yeah, it's a very dense reality.
You got a point there.
I used to live on a cloud before I came to the Earth. I'm like, it was beautiful. Sat around all day. I could eat. Never got heavy. I came down here. I'm like, what the
what is this shit?
What the hell? Gravity. Holy shit.
How do I work through this?
Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the most powerful stories, and this reminds me of something you told me, Frank, about like that rubber band technique, where it doesn't matter how far you get pulled back or into this, those are where people that get launched the furthest.
So when you find yourself in this really and we know this, we're not saying like
It doesn't suck. Or
Yeah,
it's
we
not
know
good.
we know these things. Yeah, we know this happens. Like Tony Robbins was actually telling a story about a woman that was 13 years old, and she became pregnant, and she was left to her own devices, and so she was a 13-year-old kid taking care of another kid. Like it's weird. And then she finally mustered up and put it through stuff, and then she had to go live with the grandparents, and this 13-year-old kid, now 13, is being abused by uncles and stuff like that. And then she became pregnant, and the baby came out stillborn. And this is Oprah Winfrey we're talking about.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this is
So-
Oprah, huh?
Yeah,
Yep.
so she,
and I love that story. So powerful.
She took this treacherous thing and turned it around. So this is what we want to learn, not can you come and protect me? How do I go from that state? And that's the rubber band effect. You're so much in hell, all you should do is let go. And how we let go, these are techniques. It doesn't happen overnight. It can wake up. But then once you wake up, then you have to get out of bed. And then you got to make the bed. It doesn't stop there. It starts when you wake up. People are like, I woke up. I'm like, well, what are you going to do with the awakening that you had?
Right. It's
and
a
that's
continuing process, right?
And it's amazing. So when you hear a story like that, I'm like, I have nothing to complain about. I have to stop. Who the hell cares? I don't even care about my complaint. I don't care. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired. Shut up.
Yes, sir.
And then by living it, people like, okay, like things are going really well for you. Why? I'm like, because I don't talk in my head anymore. I don't listen to my head because my head is the news. My
I'm
head
no
is
longer judging. I'm no longer measuring.
yeah.
I'm no longer comparing.
These thoughts that we had have been around for millions of years or 1,000 years. Like they're not mine. I'm like someone put them in there. I'm like I took the news on. I'm like, oh, there's a hurricane coming. I'm like, oh, I still gotta go to the gym.
Yeah.
Hold on. Speaking of the
But
gym,
that's the truth.
sorry to cut you off, Frank, but I gotta tell this story real quick.
Hell yeah, tell it.
Because Mike, I don't know if you've watched Frank box at all. Have you seen him in action?
Nope.
Okay, so Frank doesn't even know this. Okay, I'll watch Frank at the gym.
Hell yeah.
And there's something consistent every time. I doubt if he even knows he does this. Okay, he's in the gym, he's walking around, he's focused, he's hitting the weights, he's going at it, right? But something changes in this young man.
Every time it hits the bag.
When he gets over, before he hits the bag, you see him start to wrap up, do his raps. He's got his headphones on, or sometimes he's not. He has his beanie on, right? He's getting
cold out,
right? He's getting into that. He's getting to the zone. We all have that favorite hat, that favorite raps or whatever.
100%.
He's wrapping his hands, and then I see this smile. Come up. Do you even know you do this?
Yeah. Hell yeah, Frank.
This smile comes over this killer's face, and he's just like
in the zone.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the more he's rapping, the smile gets bigger,
Yep.
bigger. And then I see him. Sometimes if I'm there, he'll look over and give me a little wink.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
then he gets in his zone and going, and it's like watching magic.
God, I love that.
The speed, the precision, and Frank knows this. As a former fighter,
Yeah.
and a former professional martial artist, I can recognize a real fighter.
Yeah.
And hopefully he can see the same thing.
That's
other people.
That's why you're on the show, man. We wouldn't have a fake fighter on here.
Frank's been, he's brought you up way before you were on the show.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, there's this guy that we got to meet. We just have
He's
to have
the
him on
real
the show.
deal,
He
yeah.
told me that months ago, and I remember. So it's cool to have
Thanks,
you
bro.
here,
Yeah.
and see that kind of full circle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so when I would see him do that and see that little smile, that's when I go, but he and I are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Real recognizes real.
Yeah.
There you go.
And that's
Yes.
what you're talking about.
But-
The
but-
same way when somebody gets it.
But
that's
that's what we're doing on the show right now.
Yes, sir.
We're smiling.
Yep.
And we're talking about stuff that's meaningful to every human being out there.
Yes.
But yet we're having fun with it.
Yeah.
And it's,
We're trying to describe the indescribable.
Yeah.
What we do on every episode of Perspective Shift.
But hey, when we were children, we knew this without intellectualizing. We knew it. Every child knows. I don't care what kind of background you have, because I've talked to a lot of people and they had horrific backgrounds. Like we were talking to Jeff, right?
Yeah.
He's 9 years old, herding goats in a refugee camp.
Yep.
But yet,
Incredible story.
But he would sit there with God, and he had this moment. Like he had these moments. I'm like, okay, obviously it's not just how you brought up; it's how you are inside.
Mm-hmm.
And because we don't think of too much of the future when we're he was very well aware of his conditions and situations were not
Optimal
at all.
Yeah.
Right.
He said that too.
But he would get lost in it. It's finding that child state and putting it into this moment now, becoming childlike again. And that's where it's like,
yeah.
I forget about all the adult bullshit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
The
it all
so-called
bullshit.
woes,
The
right?
Like I pretend, it's like an acting gig I have to put on for Karen. Hey, Karen, how you doing?
No, totally. But we have to put that on. I know what you mean. It's kind of like the role we're playing.
I'm just kidding. Karen actually keeps me real. So.
I
No, we
believe
know.
that too, man. I believe she's so balanced.
Hell yeah.
She has to be.
So she asked me to order to deal with
She
you,
was-
right?
Yeah, in order to deal with it.
Oh God. Yeah.
That's seriously freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I love hearing just like the story between you guys too and how you met, because like that makes that connection is a very real thing, and it's something that it's like when we talk about these concepts and stuff, like and you're talking about something that can't be measured, that isn't concrete and stuff like that. It's like, how do you know you love your child, or how do you know you love your father? How do you know you love your mother? How do you know that, you recognize that? And Frank, same way Frank recognizes that in you. There's this vibration that we all know exists that we can't pinpoint, but every one of us knows it's real.
Great point. So that's the key here, is teaching yourself to get into that state, and you'll know.
Oh, everyone
People are
knows this.
trying to
People
know. They're trying to study. I'm like, why are you reading that book? Because I'm like, don't.
We're
I'm
trying
like,
to label
Are
it.
you drawn to that book? Like we were told to read this book, it'll do you good in life. I'm like, no, I want to be drawn to the book I'm reading, because there's information that will just correlate with what I'm doing. Get into that state, and you will know.
Yeah.
So what is preparing? Is preparing the state. the techniques will show up. Everything will show up.
How many times have you opened up one of your books? You have a great library here, by the way. How many times have you open the book blindly, just let it fall on the page?
Yeah. I do that all the time.
You do it as well, and then you read it and you say,
"I once found
that
the $10
was
bill."
The message. Even better. Let me go look at the book right now.
Right? Yeah, I'm gonna grab a book on the way out.
Press pause. I'm gonna go through these books.
What else I got?
Yeah, but you open that book. You open it. You don't look for a page.
I do this all the time, Master T.
And voila.
I do that all the time.
And what did you
I
say?
just keep I keep a collection of books, my favorite books, just kind of in my bedroom, and even by my desk if I'm getting stressed at work.
Yes.
And I will grab a book and I will open it up and I'm like, whatever message I open up is something I really need to hear right now.
Yeah.
I do that a lot.
And 10 times out of 10.
Oh, 10 times out of 10. Every time. There's always something I can take away from it.
Is there.
Well, and I'm picking up books, that are on the topics we're talking about. So there's a little bit that keeps it in
but you're
there.
at the state. So it's
right.
like the work is actually done for us. We just have to enact it. We have to experience it. So like I said, the goal is like the actor getting the script. That's the goal. I got the script. I got the job. But now I have to enact it. I have to get onto set and I have to experience it. But I haven't experienced it yet. The goal allows the experience to happen if you fulfill it. Period. Not the other way around. People are trying to do this, do that. I'm like you sent that woman off to go swim with somebody else because she just wanted to. She thinks, okay, if I learn how to swim better or whatever it is she was doing, I'll reach this point. I'm like, no, reach the point and you'll swim better.
Exactly.
Everyone's putting the cart in front of the horse with this.
Right.
It's get into the state and then proceed. And that's why the meditative aspect of beginning, my practice every day is I get into that state and then I go whatever it is I do. Show up with a client, go to the gym, say hi to Karen.
It's funny.
Nine.
It's funny Frank brings that up too about the morning meditation. How we start our day is so integral to how the day is going to continue. And so many people, you'd be surprised how many people who are high net worth individuals who don't have a morning routine, a morning ritual. Yeah, a lot. Now you have more because they're learning about the 7 or 5 different things that everybody shares in common when they're successful.
But
prior
so the people that don't, what do you find out about them? Like, what do you notice about them that don't have these practices?
What I notice is that there's that one little element, that one little area where they can be penetrated. Okay, so they can be permeated. So it's like a cell.
Yep.
Right?
So fear.
It's that one little area where if you were to just fill this in, let's fill this little void.
Yeah.
And a lot of them didn't know they had a void there because they did very well financially.
Yeah.
They feel like they're already a quote unquote success.
Well, that's the problem. We're taught that in society. We're taught that if you have money, you don't have any void.
Right.
We're taught that.
But anyone that has money that doesn't have that understanding is in such fear. It's unreal.
Yeah.
Because they realize as easy as it came, it can go. But that's not how it works. It was a frequency setting. So they might have, if I made money, I'd beget money. That's just a law of attraction. But if you don't understand how it got there, it can easily go. And that's why people become workaholics. Because I can't stop. I'm like, you in your 20s and 30s and 40s, no big deal. But 50, all of a sudden, that's when the people start losing their money.
Right.
That don't have these concepts. They go broke. They go bankrupt. Because they didn't have the one fundamental thing that kept the glue that kept it together, the base that kept it together. And, I listen to other people talk about this, like, I'm in front of billionaires, but they lose money and they're panicking all the time.
Yep.
I'm like, really? Like, you're a billionaire and you're panicking.
Right.
Go figure.
What's
how
going
does this
on?
add up
And it sounds
in
funny.
world,
What's going
right?
on? I'd rather not be and not panic. But when you don't panic, if a billionaire is your trajectory, you will be it. But now you're at peace with it. And that you cannot, because there is a calculation to making money. They're really, like, you look at the stock market and they say, well, we study the stock market so much. If you put X amount in a
S&P account?
Yeah, S&P account, and you actually manage it yourself where you're not paying percentage and points
fees,
like that,
yeah.
you're going to make money over a lifetime. That's calculated. But when you make them, I'm going to be a millionaire by the age of 50, 60 years old if you start early. I'm like, okay, but that better not be a goal in life. Like, because you're going to get there and still feel the same anxiety that you did when you're a millionaire.
And then that carrot stick just goes further.
Yeah.
Now I have to become,
the best way to say it.
But
It's
like,
the
if you
stick of it.
maintain in that state, that get into that frequency state, all of a sudden the world, the universe opens up to you.
Yes.
And making money is easy. Relationships are easy. all of a sudden everything becomes easy.
Isn't that incredible? There's an old quote by a Japanese poet, Matsuo Basho, and he says, "Do not seek to follow in the footsteps of men of old, but rather seek what they sought."
Yeah.
And that's along the lines of what Frank's talking about. You know, you go out here in the world daily, a lot of us are just chasing the carrot stick, chasing the monetary gain, success.
They're chasing the system rather than the aspect in which the person was in the system.
Right.
So
I want to do what Galileo did.
Yeah, what state were they in when they were in that system?
Right.
That's what I want to know. I want to know the state that Oprah was in when she went through all that stuff and made it to where she did. That's what I want to know. Not like, okay, first I got a job here and then I work my way up to there. I'm like, yeah, that's just a set of sequence. That's details. I want to know what state you were in everywhere along the way. That's what I want to know. And I want to replicate that in me. And when I do everything is success. It's a free-flowing movement. I'm focused. And the flow of energy is my definition of success. It is.
And that's your own personal definition. And it has to be personal at some point as well, right?
But because that, the attributes into my life come. That's how they work. It's like, it doesn't mean I do without. It's quite the opposite. But I'm not focusing on the outside world. Just like a filmmaker, when the art of the director on the set, when it actually gets into the theater, they're on to the next thing. They're not in the movie theater watching their movie. Oh, yeah, check it out. Pass the popcorn. Right. No, they're in the working of it. And that's what we want to be. It's like right when you get close to the finish of this thing, you want to get something else. You want to grab something else. Kind of like it's part of me and Mike came up with this thing called the monkey bar principle.
Okay, tell me.
So the everyone knows monkey bars. I don't know if kids are allowed to play in the playground anymore. I was joking.
Yeah, right.
They do. Yeah.
Who knows?
So people often wonder, like, how do I learn to let go? I'm like, you don't. You just grab onto something new. So in the monkey bar principle is when you're grabbing on the bar, you naturally let go.
Right.
But then there's always this sweet spot when you get really good to where when you let go, you haven't grabbed yet.
Yep. You're
that's
airborne for that.
You're airborne.
Yeah.
It's a space.
Yeah.
But in the beginning,
that's the flow.
Yeah, in the beginning.
That's
but
the
if
flow,
you
yes.
if you were focused on, if you're worried about falling, you're looking at the hand you're holding on to, and there's no momentum, there's no movement. And the only thing that keeps you going in the monkey bar is momentum. That's right. Otherwise, it's strainful. It's very rigid to go boom, boom, boom. You're back.
So static, right?
Yeah. But when you move, all of a sudden, it's like boom. I can do this all day long.
Yep.
So, like what we're teaching here, perspective shift, and Master T is teaching, is how to be moving along the monkey bars effortlessly.
Get into that
analogy,
and you no longer have to focus on letting go.
Too.
You're grabbing onto something new. And when you constantly look out, and you're presently doing it. But when you're doing it, I'm not like looking at this hand. I'm looking here.
You're looking forward, right? You're projecting, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Out the windshield of the car, not out that rear view.
And all of a sudden, the letting go is natural. You don't think about it. So people are often thinking about the problem. Like, think about the solution. Think about how brilliant it is to have a solution, right? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, thank God there's a problem.
Right?
Because we're solution-oriented people. Some are problematic people.
Yes.
That was the first half of my life. Now I'm making up for it.
Frank, I like the analogy of film, right? I told you the story about Mr. Eastwood, right?
Tell the story. It's actually good. It's cool.
And I'll segue into because of how he moved on. I worked with him on Gran Torino.
Okay,
Have
cool.
you seen that?
Yeah, I'm familiar.
Who the hell hasn't seen
Great
that?
movie.
That was one of his greatest movies.
And he moved on right from there. What was he, 76 at the time?
Yeah.
He moved on right from there, literally left there, went to the airport, and went to South Africa to start filming Invictus.
Really?
The Nelson Mandela, and the soccer team story. Now, I'm still just vibing off of the energy with him. So, quick story. I shared this with Frank before. Oftentimes, we let TV, media, and other people tell us how to view another person.
I would say 99% of the time.
Yeah, right. Let's be honest, right?
Yeah.
And I had never met Clint Eastwood before, so I didn't have anything except for what I've seen on TV.
He's a hard ass, is what I would think.
Tough hard ass. I'm people may even assume that he may not even be friendly.
Yeah.
Right?
Very fair assumption.
The most down-to-earth person I've worked with in my short life in film.
So cool.
Ever. The guy was worth over $2 billion.
So cool.
Every morning he would show up on set with Chuck, his bodyguard and assistant, who's also a martial artist too. Yeah. So we hit it off. That was cool.
That is cool.
That gave me a little, couple little brownie points with Mr. Eastwood.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But every morning he would come in, and he would pull up in his little conversion out bus.
Okay.
And he would come over to me and put his arm around me and say good morning.
Hell
Just that little bit was a big deal. But one day he told me, he said, Tarrance, take the world and give back what you don't want. And when he said that to me, I'm like, wow, that's a good riddle.
Some deep shit.
Some deep shit, right? And I'm like, I like that. And that already has set the stage for me. This is a down-to-earth guy. Forget what everybody else is saying about him. I'm having a real experience here. And this is human to human.
Yeah, you can feel it.
Not rich Hollywood guy to a new guy in the film industry. Not an old white guy to a younger black guy. None of that existed. It was two spirits, two souls. And I could tell that he wanted to help me because that was my first film that I worked on. And I was like thrown into the fire. Here's the cool story I told Frank.
Yeah, it's a great story.
So we're about halfway through filming.
Okay.
And we're filming in Highland Park, Michigan.
Hell yeah.
So Highland Park, Michigan, as you probably remember, historically is where the Model T plant, was originated. Okay. So there's a lot of history there. Yeah. So it's still there. It's the first paved highway, first paved road and first highway in America. So we're filming in this area, but now it's considered, very downtrodden. It's considered the hood. Okay. Some areas of Highland Park are even more dangerous than Detroit.
Pretty beat up area.
Very beat up area, unfortunately. And we're filming these incredible. So those scenes you saw were really gritty for a reason. This is the real area.
Hell yeah.
So we're filming these scenes, and this one evening, one of the guys in the neighborhood. So my job as a location manager, assistant at that time, was to take care of that whole neighborhood. Okay. I was in charge of all that. So I had to go talk to every person, every resident, and make sure they were all on the same page with the production team. Okay. And part of that was contracts. Part of that was payment. Yeah. Because we're going to be shutting down streets and things while we're shooting. We're going to be a little bit of, we're going to impose a little bit. Yeah. Right? And actually, we're going to impose a lot. Yeah. But we say a little bit. but we impose a lot. So this one day, one of the residents stops me. It's about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. He stops me and says, "Hey, T, come here. And I'm like, okay, it's going to be another complaint because normally I'm fielding complaints. Yeah. He goes, "Hey, I got something." He had a record, one of the old, what's the size, the big one? What was that called?
The 72.
72.
Yeah, the LPs,
Yeah, the LPs. Like a big record. Right? And he goes, "Hey, take this down to Mr. Eastwood." And I said, "Dude, he's not signing any more autographs right now." Because they had told me, look, because he was friendly with everybody. Yeah. But he was so stressed with producing, directing, and he was starring in the film. Yeah. So they were on a time schedule. So they told me, "T, let people know now. For the moment, no more autographs right now. Once he's finished filming, of course, he'll do it then. But right now, he's just so tired." So I told him, "Hey, say, dude, he's not going to do it, man. He's not going to sign your record for you." He said, "Sign my record? What the bleep are you talking about?" He goes, "I signed it for him."
Hell yeah.
I don't know how to process this. Right? What?
Who are you?
You live in Highland Park and you want
to... exactly.
So he goes, "Give this to Mr. Eastwood." No, he just said, "Clint, give this to Clint." So I... with trepidation, take the record, and I'm like walking down the street, down this block, and I think I told Frank in my head, I'm going, "Dude, do I give this to Clint and then get fired, or do I just take this and kind of like push it?"
Never happened.
I gave it to him, but
right, something happened, right? Yeah. I said, "Nope, be a man of your word.
Hell yeah,
take it on the chin. Whatever happens, happens." Yeah. So I go down to the trailer. It's getting dark, and Chuck's there. "Hey, what's up, T?" I said, "Hey, I got this record from the guy down the street who lives on the block. And he told me that he wants me to give this from him to Clint." And he goes, "You serious?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Dude, I'll give it to you."
Yeah.
So I give it to him. He says, "Hold on." He goes into the trailer, and I'm outside going, "Oh, shit. What did I just do?
What is it?
Did I just ruin my career that just started last week?"
Yeah.
And Mr. Eastwood comes out of the trailer. He busts the door out. He comes out, "Tarrance." I'm like, "Oh shit!" I'm stuttering. Yes, sir. He goes, "Where's this guy at?" And he said, "It's Stern. Where's this guy at?" I'm like, "Well, he's down the street, but don't worry. Take me to him right now." Once again, how do you process this? Where we go with this? I walk him down the street. It's nighttime. It's dark. I walk him down the street, halfway down the block, to this guy's house. The guy opens the door, and Clint gives him the biggest hug out of nowhere, and he turns to me and he says, I'm fine. You can go. Everything's good. He wouldn't have had dinner with this guy and his family. And later on, I find out that the gentleman was a jazz musician. And he had played, I forget which name of the band it was, but whatever band it was a band that was one of Clint Eastwood's favorite jazz bands. And as you know,
awesome.
Clint's is a jazz musician,
Yeah,
trained pianist
yeah.
himself.
I didn't know that.
The song at the end of Gran Torino,
Yeah.
that's him playing.
Oh my gosh.
So this was an incredible, like, for me, eye-opener.
Beautiful moment.
And that right there taught me more about Clint Eastwood than anything I've ever seen on the screen, any news reporter, any person who wanted to tell me or dictate, like a teacher, tell me how to view this man.
Yeah.
At that point, I saw a soul that was so humble to go down the street in the hood, break bread, and then tell me the next day, Tarrance, thank you so much.
Yeah.
That was the best time I've had since I've been
Is that crazy?
in Michigan.
Oh my God, that's such a great story. That's such a cool story.
But isn't that how life is? Like all these things that you accomplish in your life, and that one thing that stuck out was training that woman for the FBI.
Way more important.
Like yeah, exactly. It's not like it was her accomplishment, but yet it was your accomplishment.
Right.
Like,
Of course.
and that's what we're here for. Everyone's always trying to, like, how do I get? I'm like, don't, like, service other people
Yes, sir.
and keep it in the heart, and it's amazing what your life will turn out. It really was. They do studies on this. People who service other people and enjoy it live longer.
Yeah.
Right? If
They
that's
do.
your goal, if you want to live longer,
It's true.
it's a pretty good goal. Yeah.
Right? Pretty good goal,
Yeah.
right? Longevity. Might be a good
Yeah. But yeah.
Dude, Tarrance, I am blown away with your story.
Yeah, it's cool.
I think
Right?
this is the coolest.
He's gonna come back.
I
He's
know.
definitely coming back.
I know.
I
We
would
have to
love to
because
come
we
back,
have barely
guys. I would love
scratched
to.
the surface,
Yeah.
and I
Yes.
have like a million questions and stuff. And I just love, like, you have the best vibration. You really do.
Yeah.
And hearing
Thank
you
you,
just
man.
He's like this all the
talk-
time.
Yeah.
Dude, when I go to the gym, it's
I'm
early
like-
in the morning. I'm like yawning and turning. Like, hey, how's it going? And he's like working out.
Wake,
He's like going.
woke, real quick.
I'm like,
Get
holy
worked
shit!
up.
All right. I gotta keep up with this dude.
Thanks, Frank. That means a lot. Thank you,
Yeah.
brother.
Tell us a little bit about, like, where people can find your
Yeah,
information,
lay your
find more
information.
about, like, you, like, in general. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah,
like,
well,
are you
I'm-
on social media? Do you have a website? How could somebody, if they want to be coached by you, how could they reach out?
Great question. Easily. So they can go to my website,
Okay.
Master T is in Tarrance,
Okay.
coaching.com.
Here you go, Mike.
Perfect.
There you go.
And they will find all of my information, my background, the services that I offer.
Yeah.
And they can contact me right there. They can either chat with me right through my website, or they can send me an email as well.
Anyone who out there wants to become an FBI agent, here's the guy.
Right.
Here's the guy.
As we just detailed, anybody who has any goal out there, come to Tarrance.
Yeah, he's the guy.
Yes, sir.
Any
Yes, sir.
goal. That's what I got from that, and
Yeah.
that's what's so cool. Terrence, are you on any social media? Like, are you on Instagram or are you on Facebook?
I'm on both. So on Instagram, I'm also under Master T Coaching.
Okay.
And I'm glad you asked me about the Instagram too. I'm starting to build that up as well and start
Absolutely.
having more of a social media presence. And on Facebook, just my regular name, Tarrance Alfred, and that's Tarrance.
Yeah, I spelled it wrong. I spelled it with T-E-R.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think technically it would be
Tarrance.
pronounced Torrance, but my mom wanted to be different with it and still say Tarrance.
Hey, I
So
like
it sticks.
it.
Thank you.
Awesome. And then do you have anything on YouTube?
Not really. I have like 2 little
Well,
shorts
now you have a
up
little
there.
clip on YouTube.
gonna
That's
say.
right.
First
Let's
clip.
say now we do.
Yeah,
Yes.
you do.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. So that gives anybody at home listening away. We'll also put it on a banner underneath us
Yeah, we'll
right
have
now.
all the
on
information
I
the
there.
video.
appreciate
Yeah.
that, gentlemen.
That way
Thank
people
you.
can click, follow, reach out, or if you got a family member or friend, who might find Terrence's services nice, reach out.
And you don't have
That's
to.
the
You
point
don't
of
have
this.
to live in Arizona, by the way.
Hell no.
Yeah.
With Zoom and with all the technology
Yeah.
today, you can be anywhere.
And
Yeah, most of my life coaching services are done via Zoom.
Are they?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Most. And that was the one good thing about COVID.
Yeah,
Right?
I know, right?
People got used to Zoom.
They really did. It opened up a new world where people
Yeah.
normally wouldn't think that was enough of a connection,
No,
but we
it's- yeah.
were able to determine
One
absolutely.
day you'll be able to work with him on a VR set.
Yeah, hell
There you
yeah.
go.
Imagine
We'll be
Terrence
in
on a
the
VR
metaverse.
set. Be like,
Hell yeah.
be like, oh my god! Like you wake up and get up in the morning.
Let's go.
Let's
Let's
do
go.
this.
Go.
Let's do this. That's
All right.
it. Thank you guys for joining us today, Terrence. This was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you
my
for
our
having
pleasure.
me, gentlemen.
That's
This
great.
is
yeah.
this is fun.
This is
I'm
a long
really
time
excited.
coming. I talked
Right?
about this, and we were like, yeah, we'll do it. Here we are. It's
And
done.
we finally made it happen.
It is
Any
done.
last words of wisdom before we check out for today's show? Anything you want to leave guests with or listeners with?
Wow, that's a great question. You almost got me stunned with that.
Oh, no, absolutely.
With that, because I'm always trying to, attempting to spew some wisdom during the course of the day.
And you did today.
Oh,
Yeah,
You absolutely did.
Thank you. I'll use this one because Frank made something, said something very pivotal, talking about affirmations.
Okay.
And I have to agree with them that people have pretty much bastardized the concept of affirmations.
Yeah.
Right? So I go back to the old school mantra.
Okay.
Word or words of power. Okay. But that power needs to come from, as Frank was saying, inside of you, innate. So if you're on the right frequency and vibration, so if you're light and not dense, living in your lower chakras, right? Mm-hmm. If you're vibrating at a higher level, then that daily attempt, so whatever you're calling for, now it's right there in your grasp, as opposed to you wishing. So as opposed to us wishing well, let's live well. And then let's draw those great things into our existence. And whatever that greatness is, just like success, is defined by the individual. Every person I work with, I tell them immediately from day one, success is what you see as success. I don't want to give you this box identity or this box definition of what success should be. I can show you the tools and give you those. I can work with you. I can hold your hand. I can even hold your feet to the fire. But it's at the end of the day, it's whatever you are searching for from, as we both, all three of us agreed, from your heart. Is the heartfelt. If your heart's in it, then we can make this thing happen. If your heart's not in it, I must have to say good luck.
Yeah.
Beautifully said.
Master T, I'm honored to be here with you. Honestly,
here, man.
this was
Thank
great.
you, my friend. This has been fun. This is my first podcast, too.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
I
you
love
go.
that.
Thank you
I
guys
love
for
that.
bringing me
Yeah.
on.
Great stuff.
Looking forward to coming back.
If you like what you heard, guys, you can like and subscribe below. We'll put links to all Tarrance's, different social media, website, all that good stuff. And thank you for another awesome episode of Perspective Shift.
Yeah, and just you can get us on Perspective Shift 2020 at Gmail. And if you like this show, just use your finger. Just bam, hit that
Press
subscribe button. Smack it. Put it out like a martial arts. Like that.
And,
All right.
and that like button.
Yeah,
as well.
exactly.
Yes.
Definitely like button. All right.
We'll see you guys next
All
week.
right. Peace out.